cap. I'm a PlayStation fan too. Respect my time. Respect my time. I got a wife and kid. Respect my time. I got a wife and kid. But this is great for gamers. But this is great for gamers. Cut the cap.
I'm a game reviewer. I'm a game reviewer. I'm a neutral.
They're an anomaly. What is good, YouTube? What is good, PlayStation Nation? It is your boy Persona of Gamer Persona and one half of the What's Up PlayStation Podcast crew. Catch What's Up PlayStation Podcast every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. over on the What's Up PlayStation YouTube channel with myself and Jay Bari. Just trust and believe it's going to be a good episode this weekend. Oh boy, it's gonna be a good episode. Trust and believe. But listen, man, shout out to y'all, man. 185 of When Persona Speaks. A lot of good things has happened. A lot of news has come out. There's a lot of things on the horizon. Oh boy. And according to what people are saying online, there's supposed to be more news coming throughout the week, and I'm like, it's Wednesday, right? And PlayStation ain't really been posting too much today. They've been posting, but not as frequently as they normally do. And they started posting a little late. So, I was thinking, okay, they're gonna have some news drop today. And they didn't. They didn't have no news drop. So I'm sitting there like, well, I mean like the big news, right? We got PS Plus and all that, the PS Plus games for April and all that stuff, but like the way people was talking, like, hey guys, it's
wait a second, guys, just wait, there's gonna be some crazy news today with PlayStation. Trust and believe, hold on to your hats.
I'm just like, all right, I'm waiting and nothing. And I'm just like, oh, okay. So either PlayStation last minute said, you know what, we tired of these goddamn insiders trying to spoil our shit, so we actually gonna move the announcements to next week or the next day or whatever. Or they there really wasn't anything to begin with, right? But who knows, we'll see. We still got 2 more days or a couple more days within this week, but I think tomorrow is the last day of the fiscal year for PlayStation, so let's see what happens. Maybe tomorrow will yield much more exciting news. But that's not why we're here. Real quick, guys, can I vibe out for like a couple more seconds? Is it okay? I'll only vibe out if y'all will vibe out with me. Can we vibe out for just a couple more seconds, guys? Can we vibe out for a couple more seconds? I just want to vibe out for a few more seconds. Can we vibe out, ladies and gentlemen? Can we vibe out? Can we vibe out? Only if the chat say it's okay. They said let's vibe out. We about to vibe out. Absolutely. Hey yo, it's a beautiful Wednesday. Oh my God, it's a beautiful Wednesday. Such a beautiful Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to everybody here. We vibing out. I'm gonna make your evening good. If you're having a bad day, your evening about to get better, because we about to vibe out and have some fun tonight on this When Persona Speaks podcast. Trust. just wanted to vibe out for a couple seconds, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to vibe out just for a couple seconds. Thank you for letting me vibe out. All right. So let's get down to it, man. I want to shout out the people in the chat real quick. Y'all know how we do things here on When Persona Speaks. Yo, Carl Anchor in the building. Carl, how you feeling today, man? Blackbeard in the building. Blackbeard, how you feeling, sir? D, how you feeling today? The DJ Persona on the ones and twos. Absolutely. Yo, Corey Basely in the building. Corey, how you feeling today? Said Persona, you should get the song Vroom from GT7 as your vibe out music. It's a bit faster paced, but I think you will like it. I think I know what you're talking about. I like it. If I'm remembering that song correctly, I might know what you're talking about. Yo, GN the Dawn was good, bro. James Williams in the building. Appreciate you. This song is it's made by Slender Beats, and the name of the song is called Simple Step. Who else? Jamar, what's good, Jamar? Appreciate you. D Truth, what's good? Philip K in the building. Philip, how you feeling today? 8K Dual Sensible, what's going on with you? Jedi Johnny 5 in the building. What is going on with you? Slink SC in the building. I appreciate you, Slink. Foxing around Austin in the building. Foxing around Austin, how you feeling today? Upper Room, shout out to Upper Room. Appreciate you coming through, sir. Who else is here? Yo, the Iron Panther. Iron Panther, what's going on with you, man? Appreciate you always. Ice Queen Gaming, Dawn, how you feeling today? It's me, baby 80. What's going on with you? Who else? Yo, Damien in the building. Damien, how you feeling today, man? Hope everything's good with you. Franco Tech in the building. Franco, how you feeling? How's everything? C Fresh 2180. What's good, man? Yo, Jarrell Johnson, what's going on with you, sir? TK, what's going on with you? KC Ghost, what's going on with you? SIE, what's going on with you? Dark Prince 6606, how you feeling today, man? Appreciate you. Appreciate you. I can't go up any further for some reason on the chat, so I can't see everybody else. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Yo, Ghost in the Garage, what's going on? Davi, Shreg, what's going on with you? Jeff B Gaming, what's good, Jeff? I appreciate you, bro. Jesus Morales, what's going on with you? Soapbox Gaming, Connor in the building, what's good with you, Connor? Appreciate you, bro. G Junior, what's going on with you, bro? Immortal Black, how you feeling today? Appreciate you. Round of applause for the folks in the chat. Round of applause for the folks in the chat, man. Appreciate y'all always coming through. Yo, PS5 hype was good. You know, Viper Reek, what's good, Viper Reek? Appreciate you, Link in the building. Appreciate you, Link. Johnny Gaming in the building. Shout out to y'all, man. Man, another round of applause for the folks in the chat. Mr. Go Try Hard Guy Uchiha in the building. Shout out to the Uchiha clan. We out here. Eastern Conference, what's good, man? Appreciate all of y'all coming through, man. He said 2 shows this week. Hey, man, y'all getting you know, y'all getting some good content out of me, man. Y'all already know how it is, man. Shout out to Magnificent Black. Appreciate you, Magnificent. Copy Left, what's good? Good evening, Persephone. I do the voice. Let me see if the voice, because I don't know if I saved. Let me see if I saved that. I don't know if I saved that or not. Let me see.
Did I save it? I did. Okay.
Yeah, I saved it.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
That's the Catfish Gamer voice, motherfuckers. Yo, All Might, what's good? Aaron, what's good? Shout out to everybody, man. I appreciate y'all. You know, I'm feeling the love. One more round of applause for the folks in the chat. Round of applause, man. I appreciate y'all so much. So I want to start off real quick before we get into what we're going to talk about, because we're going to have a good conversation. And, you know, depending on how fired up, 'cause I feel like I'm going to get a little fired up today, guys. So you're going to see fired up Persona today. You're going to see fired up Persona today. Depending. I gotta see. But I want to talk to y'all about something a little serious real quick, right? It won't take too long. It'll only be a couple minutes. Yo, Don John Sean, what's good? Listen, I want to tell y'all something, man. The importance of I know we talked about, you know, catfish gamers and the importance of gatekeeping your circles, right? Another thing I just want to let y'all know real quick is the importance of keeping a distance from crab in the barrel mentality dudes or people. Let me not just preface that as dudes, people, right? Yo, J Doggy, what's good? Because, you know, it's always, yo, the devil is always working, man. You get what I'm saying? So you're always gonna have that crab in a barrel mentality dude or person that's gonna come to you and try, you know, they're gonna try to pull you down, man. They're gonna try to pull you down, man. Don't. If you got people like that around you, that's like got that crab in the barrel mentality, man, get away from them quick, man. Cut them off, man. Get away from that. You don't want none of that in your life, in your aura, in your space. Because yo, man, that shit'll fuck you up, man. It'll mess you up. It'll stop your blessings. Because that crab in the barrel mentality, that shit start rubbing off on you. So always keep those type of people at a distance, at a very far distance. We talking from California to New York type of distance, okay? Keep them people very, very far away from you, especially if you're working to build yourself up to be, you know, all that you can be. That's not them. Why am I using fucking army references? Building yourself up and trying to define, you know, look for your purpose and working on your purpose and your goals and shit like that. Keep those crab in the barrel mentality people away from you. They mean you no good, right? Corey Macy, I don't know if I said what's up to you. What's good, Corey? But I wanted to just, I just wanted to put that out there real quick, man, because I woke up this morning and it was on my mind, man. I was just like, yo, man, there's a lot of people in this world that'll try to pull you down, man, to their level, and you can't let that happen. That's one thing you don't want to do. You don't never want to let that happen. All right, so let's talk about what we're here to talk about, okay? So first off, shout out to I know some of y'all in the chat gonna get mad too. Shout out to Xbox Uni, right? I was in a space with him yesterday. He was doing a space, and you know, I pulled up, and you know, it was him and all his goons, man. You know, he had like a whole panel of Xbox dudes, man, and they was all coming for my neck. But you know your boy, if he was in that space, you already know, man, your boy held it down. You already know how that goes, man. But it was a cool, it was all right space, you know. Yo, Javon, what's good? I see a lot of y'all laughing. That's because a lot of y'all was in that space, so y'all heard that shit. Man, was that funny? That was a listen, man. And I that's, yo, the Forgetful Gamer. What's good? What's crazy? That reminded me of like back in the day of like old school debates. That's how the Xbox dudes used to talk back in the day when you used to debate and whatnot. You were cooking uni, you had to get the good. Yo, GN. Forgetful is a Persona was the only professor with credentials speaking in that space. Oh man, thank you, Forgetful. I appreciate it. Blue Mustang, what's good? I was there, those dudes were bugging. Yo, listen, man. Yo, Johnny Gamer said Persona was eerily calm as hell in that space. Yeah, man. Yo, listen, if this was old school, old school Persona, I definitely would have been rowdy. But you know, nah, man, you gotta keep calm in those spaces, man. And gotta keep a level head, right? But all right. So let's get down to business, man, right? Because there's a lot that I want to unpack here. There's a lot that I want to talk about because, you know, obviously Spartacus got revealed, right? So, you know, it's called PlayStation Plus with like, you know, it's called what? PlayStation Plus Essential, PlayStation Plus Extra, PlayStation Plus Premium, right? So those are the name of the tiers, right? It's still PlayStation Plus, but now it's in a tiered form, right? So it's a couple things I want to tackle today, man, because we're going to talk about the three key things I want to talk about today. And then, I'll open up the chat and let people come through and give y'all thoughts if y'all want to. I definitely want to hear what the community has to say today. So I want to talk about the tiers real quick. Obviously, I want to talk about Jim Ryan's statements, right? Because I think that stuff is very important as well. And a lot of people in this community, they tend to dismiss a lot of shit that PlayStation says and does, but then they take what other people say at face value, and it's just like, yo, you taking everything this company is saying at face value, but when it comes to PlayStation, everything is
I don't know. Well, maybe. What does he mean? What does that mean? I don't understand. Well, things can change. Things can change. This,
right? And it's always that you always get that narrative with people when it pertains to PlayStation, right? There's always this level of doubt and you know, uncertainty and all this bullshit, right? Although PlayStation is really one of the, out of the big three, PlayStation is the one that I feel is delivering consistently on all fronts. Nintendo as well, to a lesser degree. Obviously the games is what's most important, and Nintendo is delivering the games, even though fucking Breath of the Wild 2 got delayed, but you know, that's not a conversation for today. But you know, PlayStation has continuously delivered, right? And especially with this generation, they haven't oversold what they are capable of doing. Even when it comes down to the power of the console, when it comes down to the controller, when it comes down to the games, the next gen experiences and things like that, in my opinion, you know, they, if anything, I feel like they have delivered on their word consistently, right? And obviously last generation as well with a lot of what they were doing. But, you know, there's always this uncertainty and this whole whataboutisms and whatnot. Yo, Star Guardian, what's good? There's this whole, you know, uncertainty and, oh, well, I don't know, you know, type of ordeal that happens all the time when it comes to PlayStation. And, you know, I'm just like, you know, are we looking at the same company here? Right? When it comes to certain things, right? So, you know, we're going to touch on that. And then I want to, real quick, man, like, it's crazy too, because this news just dropped yesterday and it's like so much that I want to tackle and talk about. But geez, man. So I want to touch on this graph, this pie chart that's been going around. And just we're gonna be all over the place, guys. All right, so just stick with me. You know, we definitely about to have some good conversations. But I want to let's start by understanding what the facts are, because this was something that I was saying in Xbox Uni Space yesterday, right? Is, you know, one of the biggest problems with social media, and we've had this conversation a number of times here on the channel, but one of the biggest problems with social media is that a lot of people take things at face value and then they run with it, right? A lot of people don't really go the extra mile to fact check or go the extra mile to do their own type of research to make sure that whatever information that they're being fed is accurate information. So what happens is you get a lot of people who then tend to run around social media and parroting information or parroting things that is not accurate, or it's half truths, right? Like you don't really have all the context. And that's why I was saying yesterday, it's important to have a context when it comes to the things that you speak about, right? So for example, real quick, so yesterday in Xbox Uni Space, Samuel Porter, what's good, man? So yesterday in Uni Space, there was this guy, you know, he was talking about Horizon, excuse me, not Horizon. He was talking about GT7 and how GT7 isn't this, and how GT7 went down. That's why it's not a quality game and it's not good, and just all types of crazy shit, right? And so, you know, if you're somebody that's on the outside looking in, right? And you don't really know anything about Gran Turismo, or you don't really know anything about, you know, the series, or really know anything about of what's being talked about, it's important to have context, right? It's like, you ever had a conversation with somebody and they'll be like, oh man, yo, something crazy just happened to me. And then they won't continue speaking. And it's like, okay, well, what happened? Man, something crazy, man. You wouldn't believe it. Okay, well, what happened? Give me some details. Like, give me more information so that I can understand why you're in the state that you're in. Like, why are you this way? Like, you know, context is very, very important, especially when it comes to conveying information. And when it comes to speaking to, you know, an audience, it's important to give context. It was Side Effect Gaming, what's good? So that's what I proceeded to do, where I was like, okay, yes, hold on, let's back up a little bit and let's explain why it went down, what Kazunori said, and things like that, because I feel that is also as important to, yo, Killer Cam, what's good? That is also important for the audience to know and understand. Despite us having a conversation and despite me knowing what you're talking about, if you give bare bone details like that, the audience all doesn't know. So what happens is, if you run with just that information, you'll have somebody that's running around social media like, yeah, you know, GT is not a great game because it's down and it's still down and it's doing this and doing that. It's like, well, no, GT7 was down for 30 hours. Kazunori explained why, where there was a bad patch that was causing PS4s and PS5s to act up, right? And all those types of things. the context with that stuff is very important. Yo, Mondo, what's good? Steady Flow, what's good? Yo, Famoa, I appreciate you for the super chat. What's up? What's up? The context is very important. Context is very important to the listener. So that's why it's important to get context. But this is why I always say to you guys, you know, because it's very easy for misinformation for someone to be misinformed. Which is why it's always important to do your own research. Why it's important to do your own fact checking and things like that, right? This is why, like, you know, here on this channel, guys, you already know, you know, if I don't know something, or you know, if I want to fact check something, we'll do it right here on the show, so that we all can get the right information. You get what I'm saying? Because if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. You know, I have no issues admitting that I'm wrong. You know, shout out to Bari. Bari, it's funny. Bari used to say this all the time back in the day, and he still says it now. So it really holds a lot of weight. But pride is the fall of man. Hey, and listen, I ain't got no problems. But all right, I messed up, or I'm wrong, or whatever. Let me fix that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why context is important. But let's go through what PS Plus offers real quick, and then I want to go through my thoughts on it, and then we'll talk about what Jim Ryan's talking about, right? All right. Oh, and shout out to Famoa for the super chat. He says 30 hours equals 5 days. Yo, listen. You was in that space yesterday. Jesus Christ, man. Corey says idiots need to know that they could still play GT when the servers are down. You can play offline. Listen, Corey, that's what I'm saying. Context is important. All right, but let's get down to the nitty gritty, right? All right, so let me zoom in just a little bit. Just a little bit. Zoom in just a little bit. All right, so PS Plus, so Spartacus got revealed. Obviously, it's a tiered PS Plus service. Kind of what we've all been speculating, right? It's not the Game Pass competitor. It's not the Game Pass competitor that a lot of journalists and blue checks out here were touting and pushing. You know, when it was rumors like, oh yeah, the direct competitor to Game Pass and all this other bullshit, right? It's not that, right? So PlayStation Plus Essential is the first one, and pretty much the benefits for that is provides the same benefits that PlayStation Plus members are getting today, such as 2 monthly games, exclusive discounts, cloud storage for saves, online multiplayer access. There are no changes for existing PS Plus members in this tier. The price for the price for the PlayStation Plus Essentials remains the same as the current price for PlayStation Plus. So again, if you are somebody who didn't give a damn about PS Now, right, which, you know, there are a lot of you out there, and you know, you just had PS Plus and you just were, you know, doing what you do, this doesn't affect you in any way. You still get the 2 free games every month, or 3, because, you know, they do two PS4 and then, you know, 1 PS5. So, you know, you still get whatever you have today in terms of PlayStation Plus. The pricing and those offerings do not change. You're not affected in any type of way. So it's the $9.99 monthly, $24.99 quarterly, and $59.99 annually. Nothing changes. PlayStation Extra. Benefits of all of the Essential tier and adds a catalog of up to 400 of the most enjoyable PlayStation 4 and PS5 games, including blockbuster hits from our PlayStation Studios catalog and third-party partners. Games in the Extra tier are downloadable for play, and that is the $100 a year tier. So, Lorenzo, what's good? I don't know if I said what's up to you, Lorenzo. Dewan, what's up? Dark Artemis, what's up? So, within this tier, right, you're getting a little sprinkle of PS Now. Like, you know, you don't know if you want to go all the way with PS Now. You know, you kind of want to test it out and see how you feel, whatnot, right? That's what PlayStation Extra is for $100 a month. So extra $40 is what you're getting to get an extra 400 games of PS4 and PS5 downloadable games that you can play, right? $100 a month. No harm, no foul, right? And then we go to the premium tier, where the benefits for that is the benefits of all of the other tiers, so Essential and Extra, and then it adds up to 340 additional games, including PS3 games available via cloud streaming, a catalog of beloved classic games available in both streaming and download options from the original PlayStation, PlayStation 2, and PlayStation Portable PSP generations. Offers cloud streaming access for original PlayStation and PS2, PSP, and PS4 games offered in the extra and premium tiers in certain markets where PS Now is currently unavailable. Customers can stream those games using PS4 and PS5 consoles and PC. Time-limited game trials will also be offered in this tier so customers can try select games before they buy. And that is the 120 tier. So when it comes to the when it comes to the premium tier, one of the things that really, again, stands out to me, obviously, is the PS1, PS2, PSP games, right? That's pretty dope. People been crying about.
Game preservation. PlayStation needs to do a better job of, preserving these games. I should be able to just play these games on my console. I shouldn't have to break out my PlayStation 3 or my PlayStation 1, my PlayStation 2.
That's what they tell you, right? There you go. Now, obviously, I know that this tier isn't for everybody, and I get it. A lot of people don't really care about old games. Old games is not really something that's at the top of my list. I'll try it out to see what's up, but it's not at the top of my list. Shout out to the new sub, appreciate you. It's not at the top of my list, right? So I'm just like, it is what it is, right? I think now, personally speaking, I think this premium tier is, again, it's offering everything. You're getting from PS1 to PS4 games through that premium tier, right? And it's all for 120. So if you had PlayStation Plus and PS Now, which equaled out to 120, that's what this is now. Now the difference is that with PS Now you had 900 games, where here you have 340 plus the other 400, which puts you at 740. So here you have about 740 games. So it's 160 games less. I wonder if they're gonna add more to that list at some point once it gets out. I am curious to know why it's not at that 900 number that PS Now is now. And what I was saying yesterday too, I think I was talking to Thrash when I was saying this, but what I said was I do think that because PS Now definitely had a couple of doubles in there. So you had the PS3 and PS4 version of some of those Telltale games, right? And some of those other indie titles, smaller indie titles that were on PS3 and then came to PS4, whatever the case may be. Some of those, you do have some doubles of those, so I could definitely see that number getting shaved down just a little bit off the strength of that. But I still am curious why. And personally speaking, I do think that when it comes to PS Now, PlayStation is looking at the statistics of what are the most played games, how long people are playing games for and stuff like that. They've got all that data. So I think that's also what factored into them making the decisions that they made when it came to building out this new PS Now catalog. And I also think with the PS1, PS2, PSP games, again, I think what you'll see there with that library of games is you'll see some of the most popular titles of its time make its way into the service and, kind of start there. And then again, like I said, there's room to build and grow because, PS Now didn't start at 900. I forget where it started at. I know Bari would know. If Bari comes into the chat later, I'm sure he'll tell you. But, it didn't start at 900. So, but it got there. So those are definitely things that I'm curious about. Now, in terms of the tiers themselves, again, because a lot of people looking at this and saying, oh, well, this isn't worth having, or whatever the case may be. And in my mind, I'm like, it wasn't worth having before this was announced to you, because you didn't have both services. You just had PlayStation Plus, if that. So if it's something that it wasn't worth having, it was never going to be anything that was worth having, because this was never, in my opinion, and obviously I said this, Bari said it, we talked about this on WUPS a couple of times, that it definitely wasn't going to be no day and date Game Pass situation. Absolutely not. And the people that were trying to tout that and push that, egg on your face. Cut the cap. Egg on your face. You get what I'm saying? I don't think this is too bad. And see, Jim Ryan had said something really good here in the article about that. I want to see, where is it? Shout out to GameIndustry.biz too, by the way. Those are some really good people. They do a lot of, they write really well. They write really well made articles. They do a very thorough job. I do like GameIndustry.biz quite a bit, actually. So let's start from here. Start from the top. So obviously it's not for everybody, which is why it is in the premium tier. But there are people like me who have been around forever, who have played those games and loved those games 20 odd years ago. Or maybe it's people whose parents rave on about these games and want to try them for themselves. Once we can share the lineup with the world, we think there's going to be a lot of interest. You know, streaming is also within the tier, blah, blah, blah. Sony feels it. Okay, so this is kind of where, you know, game industry, they give their thoughts, and then Jim Ryan kind of replies, which, you know, this makes sense to me. He says, so Sony feels it has done a good job with PS5 so far. Manufacturing challenges aside, it has a console that's been well received, particularly the controller. Its exclusive games, despite some delays, have performed well, including the recent releases of Horizon Forbidden West and GT7. The one element arguably missing is in its services, and that's what this new PS Plus offering is designed to address. Yet, even if it doesn't immediately attract new customers, there is an existing audience of 48 million PS Plus subscribers to convince to upgrade, including those in the countries where PS Now has never been an option. And then Jim Ryan goes on and he says, it's about rounding off the offer that we have. With platforms, it is seldom just one single thing that makes a platform really attractive. It's a combination of many things, and having a really strong service proposition definitely helps. Clearly within, oh my God, is the Cyber really, you see, they've been good throughout the whole winter. Now that spring and summer's coming around, they want to start that bullshit again. Crazy. Anyway, clearly within our existing audience base, we have the opportunity to attract PlayStation owners who are not PlayStation Plus subscribers at present. The additional opportunity is the 48 million PlayStation Plus subscribers and get them to trade up to the extra or the premium. And our task is made rather easier there by the fact that they are existing PS Plus subscribers. So we have an extremely close relationship with the ones on many levels. So again, if you already have PS Plus, this just gets rolled over, right? Like now it's just a tier, and you'll be in the first tier, which is the essential tier or basic tier, or whatever. And if you want to jump up and move up in the tier, you can do that, right? What this service does is again what me and Barry have said on WUPS a number of times. You know, it is a rebranding of the service, right? It's a rebranding. It's bringing services together, is unifying two different services under one, and it's giving you the option to upgrade to, you know, PS Plus and still have all the other added benefits and things like that, and also adding in the older catalog of games with, you know, PlayStation, PS2, and PSP. All that stuff is there. All that stuff is there. But the thing is, it's always been there, right? Just not in this unified format. PlayStation is bringing those services together and rebranding to what it is now with this tiered system. That's what it is. It was never meant to be a Game Pass competitor. It was never meant to be something that goes toe to toe with Game Pass. Because obviously what Game Pass has going for it, if we're comparing services, is obviously the day and date. But even in that regard, right, the day and date situation is still something that PlayStation, one, they don't need to do, and two, it's not something that they are looking to venture into for right now. Let me preface it that way, because you know how people, oh, Persona, look at this, look at that. Hold on. Talking too damn much, man. I had to get my water. I talk too much. And even when we look at what he said, because again, I'll give you the both sides, because you know, there's people, oh, you must not have read the whole article. He also said, I know what he said, right? But in the here and now, and see, this is the problem with a lot of people, man. A lot of people don't want to take the facts for what they are in your face, what the facts are now. They want to give you what ifs and hypotheticals. That's what has been happening since yesterday. Well, at some point they're gonna move in the future and do this. What if? But you just said that this new service was gonna be day and date. So which is it? You told me this service was gonna be day and date, and that when they rebranded, they were also going to do day and date, and that didn't happen. Now you're moving the goalposts and say, oh, well, he said that, you know, it's not going to happen right now, but, you know, it could happen in the future, and it, you know, it could happen, Persona. You don't know what you're talking about. You're going to die on this hill, Persona. All this bullshit. And I'm like, my mans, what are the facts right now? You giving me hypotheticals and what ifs to shit that might not even happen. What are the facts right now? And that's part of the problem. A lot of people don't deal in facts. They deal in their truth, their interpretations of the truth, instead of what the truth actually is. What is the actual truth? I don't want to hear your interpretation of the fucking truth. So let's give you what the truth is, ladies and gentlemen, and then let me give you my thoughts on the actual truth and my thoughts on what Jim Ryan actually has said. So let's do it. So Jim Ryan says, in terms of putting our games into this service or any of our services upon their release, as you well know, this is not a road that we've gone down in the past, and it is not a road that we're going to go down with this new service. We feel if we were to do that with the games that we make at PlayStation Studios, the virtuous cycle will be broken. The level of investment that we need to make in our studios would not be possible, and we think the knockoff effect on the quality of the games that we make would not be something that gamers want. You know what? Round of applause for Sean. I was about to say Sean Layden. Shout out to Sean Layden, by the way. But round of applause to Jim Ryan. Ladies and gentlemen, here are the facts. Let's deal in facts. We can play the what if game later. Let's deal in just the facts right now. What are the facts? Persona, tell me what the facts are. You keep talking about the facts. What are the facts? I'm gonna tell you what the facts are, right? The facts are this. As it stands right now, today is March 30th, 2022, and it is 6:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3:07 p.m. Pacific Time, and 4:07 p.m. Central Time. As it stands right now, PlayStation sells games. The facts of the matter is PlayStation's exclusives sell. The fact of the matter is Nintendo's exclusives sell. The fact of the matter is Xbox exclusives do not. Which is why they had to go day and date. See, history fails a lot of people in this community because a lot of people don't know. A lot of people forget why all this happened in the first place. The games weren't selling. If we're being 100% honest. But as it stands right now, PlayStation's exclusives sell. Horizon sells. GT7 sells. Spider-Man 2 will sell. Wolverine will sell. Ratchet & Clank sold. Returnal sold. Demon Souls sold. Spider-Man Miles Morales sold. Now, is every game going to be a 20 million banger? No, absolutely not. Every game won't be. But as it stands, PlayStation's exclusives, PlayStation's games sell. Last of Us sold. Ghost of Tsushima sold. Infamous Second Son sold. God of War sold. Spider-Man 1 sold. Bloodborne sold. Until Dawn sold. Through the generations, even during PlayStation's worst generation of PlayStation 3, their games were still able to sell. So the facts, not your what if bullshit. The facts are that, because here's the other thing, guys. Here's the other thing. Hold on. I got ahead of myself. Let me dial it back a little bit. Hold on.
Stop it. Get some help.
Hold on, dial it back. Sorry, MJ. I got ahead of myself. Let's pull it back a little bit. Hold on. I just want to point out a hypocrisy real quick. Or matter of fact, let me throw a scenario at you guys. I want to throw a scenario at you real quick. So, what is one of the few things that a lot of people say on social media when it comes to comparing? So say if a hardcore gamer saying, well, this game should do this or this game should do that. What do people always like to use? They like to use the casual for their argument. That's what people love to use. They love to use the casual market, the casual audience. And what do people love to say? The casuals dictate the market. Do they not? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking to you. I'm talking. What is the argument that people always say, ladies and gentlemen? The casual dictates the market. The soccer mom. Thank you, Lorenzo. The casual market, the casuals dictate the market. What are the casuals doing right now? Because what is the other argument, ladies and gentlemen, that they love to use? Oh, well, casuals outweigh the hardcore audience, which they most definitely do. If we were to have a balancing scale, casuals most definitely outweigh the hardcore market. So how are these games reaching 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 plus million in regards to Nintendo and the 20 millions and such for PlayStation? Who's buying that shit? If the casuals dictate the market, if the casuals are the majority in the market, and these games are selling, what does that tell you? I'll wait.
You better be joking.
I'll wait for an answer in the chat. If the games are selling, what does that tell you? Who dictates the market? Who dictates the market, ladies and gentlemen? They told us that the casuals dictate the market. Absolutely they do. Let's go with that argument. This is not my argument, ladies and gentlemen. I'm using their argument to prove my point. You see how that works? This is not my argument. This is the argument that people use all the time, day in and day out. The casual market, the casual. The casual likes this, the casual. Don't worry, Persona, it's all about the casual market. They dictate what goes on. All day, every day. I'm using their argument. I haven't even used my own argument yet. I'm using their argument to prove my point. The casuals dictate the market. That's what you told me. That's what you said. Casuals dictate the market. Okay. PlayStation games sell. Nintendo games sell. 30 million, 40 million. PlayStation games sell. 15 million, 10 million, 20 million. The games sell. If the games are selling, who's buying that shit? It ain't just hardcore. Hardcore gamers ain't going out and buying 10 copies a piece. Somebody in the casual market's got to be buying this shit. Who's buying it? So if the casuals are going out and buying the games, Elden Ring, hello, 12 million? 12 million sold with Elden Ring? Who's buying that shit? Because prior to Elden Ring, the Souls genre was still considered niche. And Elden Ring is what really propelled that into out of that nichdom, or whatever you want to call it. The highest game that sold prior to Elden Ring, I think, was Demon Souls 3. That was like 8 million or something like that. 8 or 9 million. Somebody correct me in the chat. Fact check that for me, please. Elden Ring's at 12 million. Who's buying it? It was Dark Souls 3, 10 plus million. All right, thank you, Carl. Dark Souls 3, 10 plus million. Elden Ring, it outsold it by 2 plus more million. Who's buying that shit? It's not just hardcores. If the games are selling, what does that tell us, ladies and gentlemen? That tells us that the market of how we consume content, it works. It works. You're able to get top dollar for your games. Why would you disrupt that? Yo, CTR2, what's good, man? Why would you disrupt that? Yo, The Unknown, what's good, man? So, as it stands today, what Jim Ryan says is a fact. That is definitive because we have statistical proof. We have the facts, data, and statistics to back what he's saying. We have the facts, data, and statistics to back what he's saying. What he's saying isn't lies. What he's saying isn't made up. What he's saying isn't far-fetched. It's the truth. It's fact. That is definitive. It's definitive. But let me give you the full. Let's keep going. So he goes. Ryan's views isn't unique to Sony. Most AAA publishers are reluctant to put their most recent games into subscription services. The counter argument is that by putting your latest titles into PS Plus or Xbox Game Pass, you're potentially widening your audience. Overnight, your new release could have tens of millions of players, and if your game has other forms of monetization in it, then the revenue potential is significant. And even if your game doesn't have microtransactions, Xbox believes that subscriptions combined with streaming is the key to find new console players. I want to stop right here for a second. Before we continue to Ryan's quote, I want to talk about this for a second. Because it's almost, ladies and gentlemen, it's almost like the jokes write themselves, right? It's almost like you almost don't even have to prepare before you do a show because the jokes just write them they just write themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you another question. What has been the talk of the town for the past week or two? What have people been up in arms about for the past week and a half, 2 weeks? Probably about a week and a half. I'll give it 2 weeks. I'll say 2 weeks just to cover myself. What have people been complaining about for the past 2 weeks? You give up? They've been complaining about GT7 and the microtransactions. They've been complaining about GT7 and the grind. people have been telling you for months and years now that they don't like microtransactions. They won't support a game with microtransactions, right? But these same people, and I'm talking about people in the community, and I'm not talking about game industry. I'm speaking in general here. I'm not speaking specifically about this. It's in general. I'm speaking in general. But these same people will then use the argument of they can put their games day and date into the service for a lower price and add microtransactions and use microtransactions. Aren't you the same one who say you don't like grinding in games? You don't like microtransactions in games? You don't like live service games? You don't like games as a service games? What is this? What is this sudden?
Oh yeah, microtransactions in games are not that bad. I mean, it's not that big a deal.
These are the same people who tell you that they don't like or support microtransactions, live service games, and games as a service. This is what they tell you, but they're telling you that PlayStation could put their games in a service day and date and add microtransactions to get more money, to get people to spend more money. What gaming world, who is that for? Because if you're not for that, why are you even suggesting something like that? Who are you putting that type of gaming gaming world for? Because you don't want that shit. So who is it for? And if you don't want it, and if gaming were to go that route, right? That means you're not gonna be playing the games, right? Or there's no room to complain because it's in a subsidized service. Which is it? Either you're against it or you're for it. There is no in between here. There is no in between here. Ghost in the Garage, the contradictions are all over the place. Past 2 days, the contradictions have been all over the place, man. So then Jim Ryan, he goes on and he says, the way the world is changing is so very quickly. At the moment, nothing is forever. Who would have said even 4 years ago that you would see AAA PlayStation IPs being published on PC? We started that last year with Horizon, Days Gone, and God of War, a hugely polished and accomplished PC version of that game. We've had great critical success and great commercial success, and everybody has made their peace with that happening and is completely at ease with it. I look back 4 years and think nobody would have seen that coming. All right, so first off, Jim Ryan, cut it out. Cut the cap. Cut the cap. PlayStation gamers ain't for that PC bullshit. PC don't deserve nothing. Right? But in terms of, the way the world is changing so very quickly at the moment, nothing is forever, that's him leaving the door cracked. That's like at the end of a movie when, you think the villain is dead and then he sticks his hand up out the grave just in case they okay a second movie, just in case management says, yeah, let's do a second movie because the first movie, it did so well. That's leaving the door cracked. As with anything. But this is a what if. Because once again, facts, data, and statistics do not support the claims of what people are saying within the community. That day and date works. The facts, data, and statistics do not prove that. What the facts, data, and statistics prove is this right here. So what are we gonna go with? A what if or what the facts are? Because again, I've laid the facts out for you. The facts are that PlayStation games sell. That is a fact. That's a fact. There is no disputing that. And all this what ifs and, well, PlayStation gamers want cheaper this, and what about people, so you're okay with people spending more money in this and that, and also you just want to spend more money for games, blah, blah. All this bullshit that, again, all of these anecdotal scenarios and situations that, one, are not realistic, and two, they prove nothing, because again, if the general populace felt this way, games across the board would not sell. And then the even crazier thing about it is, even on Xbox side with those people, they are still buying the games that they truly want. Because here's the thing, guys, no one is going out and buying everything, right? There are games that people are not going to buy because there's something that they're not interested in, or they got too many games, so they're going to wait. People wait for sales and all that shit all the time, right? That's one. Two, for games that people truly want, they'll go out and buy them. People keep trying to use this excuse of, oh, well, with Game Pass, you can try the game, and then, if you like it, then you can buy it. What the fuck are you, stop it. Cut the cap. Stop it, man. Stop it. Y'all gotta stop this. Because, if that's the case, why didn't you wait for Elden Ring to go to Game Pass? No one is waiting for Elden Ring to go to no service or to be cheaper. People are going out and buying that game in drove. Breath of the Wild 2, when that drops, people are going out and buying that. People are going out and buying GT, Horizon, God of War Ragnarok, when that drops, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, when that drops. People are going out and buying those games because those are the games that they want. So people will spend top dollar. And we're not just talking about the hardcore. We're talking about the general population, the casual market. Because again, like y'all say in y'all argument, the casual dictates the market. So if the casual dictates the market, if these games are selling, what does that tell you? What does that tell a company? What does that tell this whole day and date situation? It ain't gonna work right now. Here's the other side of it too. Here's the other side of it. All right. I think I saw this from Everborn. Yeah, I think Everborn posted this bullshit. Oh, matter of fact, let me go to bookmarks real quick. Do I have it in my bookmarks? No, I don't. All right, let me. Because here's the other side of it too, right? A lot of people are trying to use financial statements and whatnot to say, oh well, this is going to work, or this works. Yo, Jamil, what's up, bro? I see a lot of people floating around this pie chart, right? So I think a lot of people are also colorblind a little bit. Anyway, so console hardware accounts for 24%. That's this right here. Full game package sales is 4%. Full game digital sales is 19%. So there's that. And then add-on content. So add-on content, so microtransactions and DLC on PSN counts for 32%. And then network services like PS Plus, PS Now, 15%. And then peripheral and other PSVR accessories and stuff like that is 6%. If you were somebody, because really, let's add this together, because 19 plus 4 is 23. 23%. So if almost 25% of the financials is coming from people buying games, and then obviously the microtransactions and stuff like that. Obviously, microtransactions is always going to be the biggest part of a pie, in my opinion, is because, you know, as much as people complain or think they're going to, or say that they hate microtransactions and all that, people buying that shit on the regular. That's why you've seen it all over the place. Because people are buying it. Hey, shout out to you for subscribing. Appreciate you. So network services like PS Plus and PS Now only accounts for 15%. Where in this pie, let me ask y'all a question. Where in this pie does, if you were a business person, and I'm really asking y'all this question. If you were a business person and you were looking at this pie and you saw only 15% for network services like PS Plus, PS Now, stuff like that, would you put your games in there day and date? I mean, I'm really asking y'all that question. If you were owning a business, would you put your games in there day and date, seeing this pie spread and how it is right now? I'm really asking y'all. I'm really asking y'all. Would you really put your stuff in there day and date? I'm really asking. I really want to know from the chat. If you're able to sell your games at full price and get 20, about almost, let's round it up, it's really 23%, but I like dealing with, you know, strong, I like my breakdowns to go around even. So let's just say 25% of your revenue is coming from games being sold at full price, or even on a sale for, so if it's at full price or if it's at $30, $40 or whatever, the fact of the matter is you're getting that sale, and then you're also getting the microtransaction money as well. Would you switch to going day and date into a service for $10 a month, $15 a month, $18 a month, and risk getting that big cut, having this big cut which yields more money, to now shifting to there? PlayStation's games sell. The games sell. And we're talking third party and across the board. But I see this graph going around, and a lot of people are not really doing a good job of explaining to you. Like, they're trying to push the agenda of, oh, well, 15%. Well, really, I think people thought it was this at first, but really it's 15%. But even at 15%, no smart businessman is going to shift how things are if their games are selling into putting it into a subsidized service, and risk losing money. Because here's the other thing, that a lot of people, they don't really, I don't know if they just don't care to understand or whatever, or they just like to remain oblivious and just, you know, all that. But you know, see how PlayStation is doing all these acquisitions? People saying, oh, PlayStation buy Capcom, PlayStation buy Square, PlayStation put this game out, PlayStation do this, oh my god, PlayStation another state of play, another timed exclusive for 2 years, another this, another that, right? A lot of people aren't factoring in that it's not just the games that, like, the games cost how much they cost to be made, which is 100 to 200 to really 250 million, right, going into this generation. Shout out to Sean Layden and what he said, right? 250 million, right, to make. Why undercut your profits like that? You want PlayStation to do acquisitions, you want PlayStation to lock down exclusives, you want PlayStation to fund new IPs and keep putting out new and grander games. The economy needs to function, right? Let's see, here's the thing, because I was saying this the other day, because a lot of people, and I hate using this term, but in this given situation with Microsoft, They are an anomaly. They're an anomaly. I hate using it. I hate using the word. I hate using it. I hate myself for using it right now. They're an anomaly. They're an anomaly, and I'm explaining to you why. Because PlayStation is profitable. This is one of, if not the most profitable division under Sony. PlayStation makes money. PlayStation makes the money. Shout out to Barry. PlayStation makes the money. On Microsoft's side, Xbox don't make the money. It's the cloud infrastructure and it's the operating system and the subscriptions and their applications with Word and all that shit. That is what makes them their money. That's what's pulling down them trillions of dollars. So in that type of situation, Microsoft is in a unique position to where, in a market to where we're used to doing business with gaming how we've always done for generation after generation, we're in a position now to where you have someone at Microsoft that is in the game, right, and has been in the game for 20 plus years, but given the type of money that Microsoft has, not Xbox, because Xbox is not profitable, it's Microsoft. So given the fact that Microsoft has the money that they have, right, and they're able to do what they do, they're able to sustain type of model that you have a lot of people in the community parroting that needs to happen with PlayStation, because they're not saying this with Nintendo, because they're an anomaly. They're an anomaly. It's Nintendo. It's Nintendo. Whenever it's Nintendo, it's Nintendo's a family console and they're doing their whole thing, and they don't really need to do this because they're not really dealing with third party and blah blah fucking blah. Like excuse after excuse, right? But when it comes to Microsoft is in a unique position to where, them being a $2.5 trillion company, they are able to keep this type of thing going for however long they can, until they get tired of it, or until Satya says, you know what, Phil, I'm tired of seeing, this division in the red, cut it off. I'm not seeing the growth that I truly want to see, cut it off. Right, so they can keep this up for however long they can, because you see them making $70 billion acquisitions of entire publishers, $10 billion acquisitions of publishers and things like that. Clearly they have the money to support this type of model, but this type of model is not a model, in my opinion. Obviously, this is just my opinion. You feel me? Let me preface that real quick. I ain't no analyst. I'm just speaking based off what I see, stuff that I've read. And looking at numbers and stuff like that, like I like this type of stuff, right? Based off the model of what PlayStation is doing, Microsoft is doing, this is a model that Microsoft can keep going realistically infinitely, because they have the money and the capital to do so. PlayStation and Nintendo do not have that same type of capital. Yes, PlayStation is a $200 or $300 billion company. Yes, but PlayStation, not PlayStation. Let me rephrase. Sony is a $250 or $300 billion company, right? So yes, they've got a nice chunk of change, absolutely. But the way their business model and their business structure works, it's not going to be the same thing, because one of two things is going to happen, right? Either, if they were to do this day and date shit, less games are going to release, games will get smaller, and if the release of games would be spread out a lot more micro, like it wouldn't be how a lot of people don't understand. This shit would not be, if this was to sweep the whole industry, it would not be the way people think it would. It ain't gonna go the way people think it is. I'll tell you that right now. It ain't gonna go the way people think it is. So when it comes to that, PlayStation needs to, especially if their games are selling, PlayStation has themselves in a very unique position. They can have, again, because Sean Layden has said this, and let me find the video, right? Because shout out to Sean Layden. Sean Layden, good dude, man. A lot of respect for Mr. Layden. Here we go. Oh no, not this one. Not this one. I just lost. Oh, here we go. None of the craziness, all right? And you know, all that stuff.
Is this the part where the mysterious guy with the hoodie kicks everybody's ass?
Oh my god. Fucking commercials. It's gonna be a great show. And Sean, the very first question I want to ask is, you know, why us? Why did you decide to be on what's to be? It's always strategic. I would want them to be strategic with everything that they do, especially acquisitions. And when you look at Insomniac, you know, you see the history of Ratchet and
aspects around what you can do in a game design now, you know, virtually no load.
Or 10 million Persona they sold, and then you hear in UK that they already have a what?
You know, continuously in the future, I think over time that tapers off. But right now, it's just trying to keep the communities together.
Much more diverse cast of people. You know, for example, you know, Days Gone, that game. You know, I remember seeing some reviewers where they were making a lot of
in the eras of PlayStation 1 and 2, which were just PlayStation. They didn't come out on Sega Saturn, didn't come out on Nintendo for sure, and the fledgling Xbox platform didn't come out on that either. Most Japanese developers, up until PS3 anyway, as to what you can do as just a publisher, and so you can get them across the line with that.
Sales dwarf so many other games in the industry. Do you think these games need to go away before we see a variety
of male users? That's why all of the streaming platforms in film content as well, you know, they pay up front. They pay
Spotify, right?
No, not gaming with Spotify. Music.
Okay.
That's what I mean about the variety. I'm Xbox at the comparable time together, and you put the Nintendo or Sega or whatever in the comparable time space. Each one of those generations of platforms never seems to sell more than 240 million consoles worldwide. But if you take it from an industry perspective, I'm concerned about that because I want to see more people. I want to see that 240 get to 280, to get to 300. And to do that effectively, I don't think we can only get there by creating sequels to current popular hits. We have to create those sequels because there's a fan base, and that was amazing. You know, we actually broke into a market of some gamers who weren't traditional gamers, but if they had a chance to sing with Beyonce, boom, yeah, everyone was in. And then from there,
what just happened?
You try to take them into, well, if you liked that, how about some Concrete Genie or some Pixel Opus or more voices into the creative tent to develop the content which may appeal to people who don't even look at gaming right now.
Definitely. We need more
I'm trying to find the part where
gateway games. More games.
Trying to find the part where he was talking about streaming platforms.
I definitely understand and agree with that. Bari.
Yeah, so Mr. Layden.
Your bar is so funny.
The host of the greatest E3 show of all time, 2016. Okay, I'm spicing this up. Let's get to the question. Services.
Oh, here we go. Services. Here we go. Here we go. Listen to this.
You have been in the news, you know, a couple of months back about services and how you feel about a specific service. You know, that's for today, because you know a lot of people, when it comes to this podcast, if we mention the word Xbox, that is deemed a dislike because we're a PlayStation centric podcast, right? But we gotta compare, right? So before I even get to the whole Game Pass side of things, I want to ask your thoughts on PlayStation Now. Like if you were still in charge.
Now, shout out to Bari, man. Yo, Bari, if you listening, you got to come to the Discord, because you got to come through when I open the chat. Shout out to Bari, because I remember when me and Bari was talking about the questions that we wanted to ask. That was definitely a question that was on my mind, and Bari wanted to ask that as well. This is such a great question. Listen to Bari how he answers the question when he's talking about PS Now, but listen to Sean Layden's answer, right? Because again, this coincides with what PlayStation and what Jim Ryan and the team are doing now with PS Plus and its tiers. So just listen.
I know this is going to be a hard question too. If you were still in charge, would you put first party games there day and date? And the second part of this question is this: can you elaborate further on your claim about Game Pass needing like 500 million subscribers for it to be sustainable?
Okay. Let's take the second question first.
Go right ahead.
Yes, there was an interview where I said if game development costs are going to reach $200 million to develop a game, then a subscription service would need something like 500 million subs in order to pay that out. I violated my first rule of public relations, which I learned 30 years ago, because that's where I started my career in Sony, is that if you put a number into a story, you better know exactly how that number pencils out.
Yeah.
And so maybe instead of 500 million, I should have said gargantuan. But nevertheless, I think shortly after that interview came out, there was another news story about Take-Two and Strauss-Zelnick saying that he wouldn't put his titles day and date into subscription service because it can't cover the cost. So I feel if I'm on the same side of a financial argument with Strauss-Zelnick, I feel like I'm in a good place. The thing about it is that I put on Twitter last week, which also caused people to think I was talking about Game Pass, but if they read the link, it was about Spotify.
Yeah, I remember
Spotify, which is the biggest thing in the world when it comes to streaming gaming, and even the people at Apple Music will have to admit that. Even Spotify has yet to turn a profit. It has continued to lose money every year.
You mean music, not gaming with Spotify, right?
No, not gaming with Spotify. Music.
Music. Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you look at it, people pay their subscription rate, and then that money gets pooled together, and the platform takes their, run rate fee off the top of that. Now you have a pool of money to distribute via royalties to people whose song gets played on that service based on how many times and for how long and for whatnot. And that ends up with these piles of nickels. And to pay back for the cost of recording a song is one thing, but to try to cover the cost of a $100 million game development based on percentages of subscription fees based over time of play against the model, it's super hard.
Let me stop you right there. This goes back to what I was just talking about, right? So Sean Lane is using the argument of Spotify and music and how, the stream company takes off the top and then whatever's left is what's being distributed to everybody else, right? So let's push that back around to gaming, right? Now, obviously, based off how Microsoft, from what we understand, they pay like a fee or whatever, but if a game is going day and date, we don't really understand, like if a game from a third-party service company or whatever is going day and date, we don't really know how that business transaction works. Maybe they pay, the third-party company comes to them with a number and they either say yes or no, who knows. But in terms of first-party games, whatever the budget is set for that game, that cost is being covered by the publisher, right? In this case, if we're talking about Game Pass, it's Microsoft. Back to my original argument. Microsoft being the anomaly. They're an anomaly. Being the anomaly that they are a $2.5 trillion company. The cost that Sean Layden is talking about when it comes to actually covering that cost, most companies cannot cover that for a long period of time. So either one of two things is going to happen. Either it does not happen at all, where the games do not go day and date into the service because that type of cost cannot be covered for a long period of time, one of three things is going to happen. So the first thing is that. The second thing is less games are being released every year from the company, less risk, right? Less acquisitions or chances or whatever are happening. Or three, you get more monetization and much more service-like games to where it almost feels predatory because somewhere that cost is being covered by somewhere. Remember why I told you guys a long time ago where I used to say, all these games that Microsoft and all these purchases that Microsoft's doing, somebody's going to be paying for that down the line, right? It might not be right then and now, but that shit's getting paid for at some point. You get what I'm saying? So when it comes to what Microsoft can foot, right? Them being a $2.5 trillion company, this is something that they could sustain for however long they want because of the money that they have. But when it comes to
to PlayStation or Nintendo or whoever else that is creating games, this is not something that can be sustained with the current output of how we do games. Something will change, either for the better or for the worse. And my thing is for the worse. But let's let Sean Lane continue.
You can't get to 150 million that way. Now, that's why all of the streaming platforms in film content as well, you know, they pay up front. They pay a huge minimum guarantee to the big titles to entice them to come across to that. But still, it's almost impossible at the current run rate to make back your nut without some subsidy from the platform to help you get there. And so how long can a subsidized platform continue to be successful? Well, it really depends on how big the wallet is that sits behind that platform.
Yo, Sean Lane, you the goddamn man! Hey, yo, man, yo. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Yo, Sean Lane, talk to him again, man. Say that part again. They ain't hear you. Say it one more time, man.
You can't get to 150 million that way. Now, that's why all of the streaming platforms in film content as well, you know, they pay up front. They pay a huge minimum guarantee to the big titles to entice them to come across to that. But still, it's almost impossible at the current run rate to make back your nut without some subsidy from the platform to help you get there. And so how long can a subsidized platform continue to be successful? Well, it really depends on how big the wallet is that sits behind that platform. And
yo, ladies and gentlemen, who now let me ask you another question, ladies and gentlemen. Who do you think, based upon the market valuations, matter of fact, no, let's do this right. I want to do this right. Let's do this right. I want to do this right. I want to do this right. Let's do this right. On the NASDAQ. Let's trade on the NASDAQ. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you a question. Matter of fact, no, hold up. Let me new tab to the right. Finance. Let's do this right. I want to do this right. Let's do this. I think Nintendo's traded on the Japanese. Market cap is AOT. Alright, hold on. I want to see what that is. Alright, let's do this right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask y'all a question. And answer truthfully. I want to ask y'all a question. Microsoft's market cap is, can y'all see this right here? Y'all see that? Microsoft's market cap is 2.36 trillion USD. That's the market cap. Market closed at 4:30 today. That's their market cap right now. That's the market cap. PlayStation's market cap is 132 billion. Nintendo's market cap is 8.20 trillion JPY. Let me convert that. Hold up. I want to convert that. Hold up. 32 USD. Um, 8.2 trillion
trillion would be. Huh. Hold up. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So that's all right. So I think I have that right. So that's about 67 billion. It's 8.20 T, that's trillion, but that's in Japan currency. So JPY converted into USD is 67 billion. So let's just up that to 68 billion, right? So Microsoft is at 2.36 trillion. Sony is at 132 billion. And and Nintendo is at 68 billion USD. So knowing that information, ladies and gentlemen, my question to you is, who is most likely to be able to sustain a day and date model like this, like what Game Pass is doing? Who is most likely? Yahoo says 60 billion. All right, thank you, Sammy. So then, I think the 68 billion is accurate. Then, who is able to maintain that type of model? Knowing all that we know with the pie charts and all this other bullshit, and knowing what they're making, and hearing what Sean Lanning has said, who is able to sustain that type of model? Microsoft. Which is why I say they're an anomaly. They're an anomaly. It's that simple.
What their patience is around that. I think still, under the current services, the platform itself, whether that be Game Pass or whether that be PlayStation Now, I think because of all the different inputs those businesses have towards overall financial stability for their business, I think there's a chance that those can turn at least neutral as far as the impact on the bottom line. But for an individual developer who's going to put down over $100 million into a project, absent a subsidy to bring it across onto a streaming service, you're going to need a lot of subscribers paying a lot of $9.99 a month to get enough nickels stacked up that somehow it reaches $100 million for you.
Yeah, I feel like you will need that as well, but you also got to have the content to keep them there, so it can be just continuing, you know. But yeah, I understand your point. And now, as far as when it comes to PlayStation Now,
now listen to what Sean Lanning says here. We're gonna hear what Sean Lanning says, and then I'm gonna open up the chat.
The current strategy, which personally I feel like they have the correct current policy strategy. But what's your take? Would you do something like a Game Pass as far as putting first party content there, Nate? I'm kind of gonna assume where you're gonna go to, but just still want to get down on the record.
I think from my perspective, looking at the streaming platforms, and I think we'll find this to be true over time for even the video streaming platforms because there's so many of them now, and people are coalescing around a few of them, but still the money that they're throwing out there is incredible. Look, in the before times, before the pandemic, you had a standard business model of you shoot a movie, you put it in theaters, you have a 90-day to 120-day window before it goes into the next place, which is like hotels and airlines and their pay-per-view, and then it goes into a premium service like a Hulu, and then finally some place down the line it ends up as ABC Movie of the Week. So you have all these different bites of the apple when you're talking about bringing a movie out. But the big one, of course, is what did it do in box office and how many hundreds of millions did it make in the first 2 weeks. If you take away the launch of a title in retail or on the digital store, if you take that away and say, we're just going to push it into a subscription service where this game will get a percentage of the $9.99 against the users, against time, against spend. Again, I don't think that model works. I think the streaming service is great for catalog content. But that's how PS Now began.
Hold up. Y'all missed it. Hold up. He said it.
If you take away the launch of a title in retail or on the digital store, if you take that away and say, we're just going to push it into a subscription service where this game will get a percentage of the $9.99 against the users, against time, against spend. Again, I don't think that model works. I think the streaming service is great for catalog content. But that's how PS Now began. PS Now began as a way to play PS3 games on your PS4.
Stop you right there. Now, with this new service, what is PS Now? Catalog content where you can now play PS1, PS2, PS3, and PS4 and PSP games through PS Now. Catalog content. That's what this vision was always meant to be. Catalog content. It was never meant to rival Game Pass because one, that model is not sustainable for PlayStation. They don't see the value in that right now, especially when their games are selling. Neither does Nintendo, because Nintendo damn sure ain't doing it. It was meant to be catalog content for the old games. That's not just something people are just saying. That was the vision. That's what this was. And that is what it continues to be and has evolved into even more with the PS1, PS2, and PSP games making their way onto the service.
Right? Because we couldn't do
day one.
Yep, I remember.
Throw the disc in and have it work. But we could have a streaming service, which made your PS4 into a virtual PS3. And you could go to this catalog online and play all these great PS3 games. That was complete. That made complete sense as a service, right? One of the problems, one of the challenges with gaming is that every time we launch a new console, it's like we take that previous generation's content and put it in a box and drop it in the ocean. Never to be seen again. Unlike film, where you can always get a copy of The Godfather, or music, you can always get a copy of Beatles' Abbey Road. Doesn't matter. It went from vinyl to 8-track to CD to streaming. But games, it's harder. You'd be hard pressed to find a way to play a PS1 game now. I know there's some emulation service.
Again, going back to what I've said before, preservation. The preservation that everyone keeps, oh my God, where's my old games? I want to be able to play this and play that. Oh my God. All this preservation crying bullshit that people were doing all through social media, all up and down Twitter for months, right? And how PlayStation needs to do a better job of doing that. That was the vision all along with this service, with PS Now, which people still refuse to buy into and support. You want the preservation, there's the preservation. That is what the vision of this service was meant to be since day one. And now it's becoming fully realized with the PS1, PS2, and PSP games now making their way onto PS Now. Now you have every generation of PlayStation games on PS Now, catalog content, where you can now enjoy those games and still be able to get the best of both worlds, because now you have all the generation of consoles, all the generations of games there on the service with PS Now, and you still have your next-gen console with the PlayStation 5, all of that being able to be playable through your PlayStation 5, albeit through streaming or through download, and you still get the benefits of the PlayStation 5 and those next-gen games that PlayStation has been delivering on consistently
on your PlayStation 5 console. And you still get the innovation with the PlayStation VR 2, innovation with new IPs, innovation with organic growth and buying new studios like Haven, and the innovation of being able to acquire big publishers or studios or dev teams that make sense to PlayStation and their strategic and organic growth, all through the possibility of supporting the games and buying into the service and buying into the hobby and into the economy of gaming. This is what PlayStation has cultivated and have been able to do. And this is why everybody wants a PlayStation. This is why everybody wants to be on a PlayStation or Nintendo, for that matter, for nostalgia reasons and whatnot. This is why PlayStation is able to do what they do, not because of a subscription service. And the stuff that they're doing now would be cut finance-wise, because again, let's go back to it. When you have a company whose market cap is only 1.32 billion compared to a 2.36 trillion dollar company, they are not built the same. They cannot do the same things. And the company that can't do that doesn't need to do that, because the people are buying the games. The facts are there. The facts are there. Never mind the what ifs and all this other bullshit that people are pushing around. The facts are that PlayStation games sell. The facts are that people want a PlayStation 5. The facts are that PlayStation is killing it on all cylinders. The facts are that PS Now is not meant to be a Game Pass competitor. It is meant to be catalog content of preservation of games through the generations that you can play at your leisure, all for a fee. And that's it. But you know, I want to talk to you guys. I'm in the Discord. You want to come through? Chop it up, chop it up, chop it up. Those are the facts. Those are the facts. That's not no what ifs and what aboutisms and all that bullshit. It's the facts. You have people on here trying to dispute facts. You have people out here trying to use their what if situations or scenarios, anecdotal experiences, as facts. Those are not the facts. Yo, appreciate you, Henry Heck, for the super chat. He says, we know what's up, and they do too. They're barking that day and date nonsense because that's all they got, and they know PlayStation ain't doing that bullshit. Absolutely not. Shout out to you, Henry. I appreciate you always. Viper, appreciate you. He says, that's exactly what I like to see PS Plus for. A subsidy. It's not my main source for gaming. Exactly. It's no one's main source of gaming. Who in here? Yo, Link, Muck, what's up, man? Nothing much, man. What up?
What up?
Welcome, Muck. I think this is your first time here.
I want to show all the time. First time in the Discord though.
Awesome, welcome. Shout out to you, Link. You here all the time, Link.
I just want to make sense of one thing, right?
Okay.
If Nintendo model is number one, Nintendo is the top on the totem pole, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sony is number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft is number 3. Why would number 2 follow what number 3 is doing and not what number 1 is doing? That's my only, like, I don't understand why people want Sony to follow the number 3 instead of following the number 1. Like, it doesn't make any sense. if I'm in a race and the number one guy beat me, I'm gonna do what number three did. I beat him. I don't need to do what he did. I need to do what number one did.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I think that goes back to PlayStation's, Microsoft's pockets, right? People are looking at what Microsoft is able to do because of the deep pockets that they have, and thinks that dictates what the entire gaming industry should move towards, because that is something that Microsoft is able to sustain. And what a lot of people are saying is, on top of your point of, not following number three, but that is not something that can be sustained through regular means for a regular company who has regular, and I'm not trying to minimize PlayStation and Nintendo, but let's be honest here. PlayStation and Nintendo, even combined, do not have Microsoft money, so they can't do those types of they can't make those types of moves. They just cannot support that. So what's happening is people are looking at what Microsoft's doing and not looking at how Microsoft is able to do it because of the financials. And they're saying PlayStation needs to do this because this benefits me more because I don't have to spend money, not knowing that cost that's being covered is coming from a company that has 15 to 20 times more money than the competition.
But not only that, you think Sony could go to their investors, because this is the next thing what people don't understand. You think Sony could go to their investors and say, hey, we sold 20 mil on Last of Us, we sold 20 mil on God of War, we sold 20 mil on all these Ghost of Tsushima. You know what? We ain't gonna sell 20 mil anymore. We gonna maybe put it in a subscription service and hope that we could get 100 million. Hope. So I gonna move from raw sales that I'm making money to a hope. Like people don't understand like how these businesses are ran.
And a lot of the argument that people like to use is, well, it's not like if it goes named in the service, it gets taken off for sale for someone to buy it outright, which is true. But again, what dictates the market is the casual. And if that casual market is moving into that way and that money shifts drastically into that other pocket, what do you have? You have much less money being made, but still expecting the same output.
That's a fact. Because if I could get a game that was previously $70 and I could get it in a subscription service for $20, why am I gonna buy it?
Yeah, and that's how a lot of people are thinking now. And because Microsoft is able to foot that bill, they're not thinking twice of, oh well, fuck it, I'll wait for it to come to Game Pass. And it's like, well, damn.
Exactly. And I heard a lot of people in a space today saying, oh, I still buy my games, but they don't understand that they're the minority. They're not the majority. If they were the majority, Xbox will be beating their chest saying, hey, Halo sold 10, 15 million. This Forza sold 20, 25 million. But they're minority. They're not the majority.
Yeah. I know Link, Carba, Jamil, shout out to y'all. Deli, we got a special guest. We got Deli here, which I'm very surprised Deli is here. And shout out to Deli. I just want to hear Deli's thought because he's the developer as well. So I just want, and he explained this so well on Brap's podcast last week. So I just want him to like break it down for us, man. So Deli, first off, tell me, am I making sense? Am I like talking crazy? Talk to me, Deli. Talk to us.
But he really did a great job last week for real. Shout out to you, Deli.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Deli. You got the floor.
I just want to say hello, everybody. For anybody who doesn't know me, my name is Agent Deli. I'm a former level designer at Ubisoft, and yeah, now I'm hanging out with Persona. But I wanted to, I wanted to revisit this very important thing that I put out on Twitter not too long ago, which got a bunch of interaction. I put this out at the beginning of the year, January 22nd. And basically what I was saying in this thread was, let's talk about the actual numbers and how this impacts developers in a game subscription service. Because the game that I worked on was Watch Dogs Legion, which has actually launched on a subscription service. So I feel like I have a lot of stake in the game because I have a product that I have my name attached to in one of these things. And mind you, this isn't Game Pass. And in this entire thread, I never once spoke about Game Pass, but a lot of people jumped to the conclusion that I was. But in all intents and purposes, let's just talk specifically about Game Pass. So unlike movies and TVs, there aren't any ads. There's no product placement, and there's no subsidiary to offset the spending, much like what Sean Layden was saying. So when you're applying to a subscription service to host your game, you only have a few options. You know, there's a diverse amount of deals. The most common across the spectrum are time played, flat fee / bulk payment, pennies per download, and player counts. And then Game Pass has one specifically called play to pay, which consists of only being paid if somebody downloads the game and plays it for more than an hour. So that would be something like a player count. So when you have that, some services won't front any money at the start, and some services require you to hit a certain threshold before receiving a dividend. So let's say Google Stadia says you must have 100,000 hours, and that is something that like could possibly work out. Or it could be something along the lines of like, oh, let's have 1,000 hours. So there's a lot of thresholds that you may or may not have to hit depending on the services. And so even with the most kind, loving, and charming publisher, they will put their hand in the mix. Because of the way these models and the service subscriptions are, you may see an excess volume of high replayability or procedurally generated experience, so devs can take advantage of these deals. So you're looking at something along the lines of a isometric roguelike, which we've seen a lot of in a lot of these subscription services, not just specifically Game Pass. So another thing that publishers will do is that they'll promise exposure for the developer. So the problem with this is that one session does not equate to the cost of labor. So like Persona coming and downloading Tunic does not equal the same as 1 hour's worth of work that developer put in. Or let's say, in this case, let's say something like Battlefield or Halo, where there's 800 developers on the, well, technically there's 725 developers on that team. So 1 hour of play for me, Persona, and the entirety of this stream does not equal to 1 hour of their salary, because a lot of these guys are making median income or higher than that. Several of my cohorts in the industry have been using something have been being paid somewhere north of $95,000 a year. So if you break that down into numerical numbers, that's like equivalent of like $40 an hour. Me and Persona playing 2 hours of Halo does not pay any of these guys, and it does not front the cost of paying those guys to develop the game. So an hour of an entire studio, 500 employees by $40 a piece, is not the same as me and Persona playing 2 hours of Halo. So something that Sean Layden was saying that Persona was showing off was the fact that somebody has to have a very, very large wallet in order to operate in the red, or in order to take care of these costs that will eventually rack up. So, you know, suddenly it's turning into saving pennies and saving nickels. And if your game isn't bringing in subscribers, then the service isn't necessarily profiting, right? So you may get cut. Like there are a bunch of devs on Twitter that say that, hey, my game, I applied for the service and they accepted my application, but that I did not get put on Game Pass. And the GDC stuff that came out, a lot of that stuff in fine print says that they are Xbox Inside or ID at Xbox developers, which means that they are promoted by Xbox. They are basically essentially first party Game Pass developers. So if I were to make a game and I asked that and I applied and they say, yes, you got the application, but you're not going on Game Pass day one. So as a developer, I don't actually contribute to that number. So a lot of these numbers are like 15 times the indie growth, And it's like, yes, it's 15 times the indie growth for ID at Xbox developers, not for indies across the board on Game Pass. And a lot of those panels and stuff, those slides, are specifically for game developers. They're not for consumers. Like this stuff doesn't pertain to any of you guys, but this stuff does pertain to a lot of us. So when you show up to a service and you get, let's say you have an application, me and Persona make Halo 17, right? So Halo 17 shows up on the service, and then we ask, hey, can I have more time and money? And they say, no, you agreed to the terms. So you got a couple of things, right? Let's say me and Persona agreed to getting $1 million up front, and then we have to do something like hire 25 employees and file a monthly expense report. If we don't do that, and we don't meet our threshold, they can do something like, your IP is mine. So now Microsoft or Google or a bunch of other companies now own Halo 17. We obviously don't want that. Me and Persona don't want that. So we're gonna work harder and harder as our budget gets smaller and smaller. So you have a few options once you're like fed support slowly and slowly like that, is that you lean on these large companies, and maybe sometimes they create huge deadlines that you can't meet. Like it's physically impossible to meet. Like there was one story that I heard of a developer where they said, well, you got 6 months to develop the game. We give you $300,000 up front. And if you don't do it, then we own your game. And there, you know, to somebody who has worked, 5 years and seen no money, this is a very enticing deal. Sorry, Persona, were you going to say something?
No, I'm listening. Okay. I'm like really into this.
So how does this affect large dev teams? Okay, so this is just specifically indie games. How does this affect something like 343, right? So, like I said, if there's a large bulk payment, you will never see an ounce of that because you are a developer. I get paid salary. At Ubisoft, I got paid a flat rate. So what Yves Guillemot gets paid, what the studio gets paid, they dive into that, and then I may get a bonus. During
I do have a question. So when it comes to the money so say, and I'm just throwing numbers out here, this isn't facts, but so say for Watch Dogs Legion, right? Microsoft says, hey, we'll pay you $20 million to put Watch Dogs Legion into the service, right? That $20 million is not $20 million that's going directly to developers. That's $20 million that's going directly to the upkeep of Ubisoft.
That's $20 million to Ubisoft's pocket.
I got a question. I got a question to dedicate.
Go ahead.
So basically, this deal is kind of like what the record companies are doing, where if I'm signed to Interscope and I have the label say PlayStation Gaming, that's my label under Sony.
Yep.
And then I sign Persona. When Atlantic give me money, I just give Persona a little bit, but I take in the bulk of the money. So it's basically the same thing.
So it's like a 360 deal.
So
wow. Okay.
Yeah, we won't. So us as developers, we won't see a dime of that. So I actually quote retweeted something earlier this week where a developer at Activision and Blizzard. So this is a large development team, right? So when you turn over your IP as a large developer, let's say this can be any large company. This could be a Quantic Dream. This could be Insomniac. This can be anybody, right? Turning over your IP to the publisher and then in turn giving the leverage that they have, which is whatever the customer base that, somebody is touting. So it's like, hey, we got 30 million subscribers. Okay, cool. Well, if you're on salary, you're still crunching because suddenly it turns into a job like any other job. And the studio now goes, we want to make as much money as humanly possible. So let's crunch these guys. So this game developer on Twitter says, thinking a lot about my time at Activision, and I still can't get over how absurd and unnecessary the crunch was for Cold War. This is a game that a lot of people bought. This is a Call of Duty game. So you wouldn't expect somebody with over 1,000 employees to be crunching. But this guy said 9 to 14 hour shifts every day, working every weekend, and getting 1 or 2 days off a month, all during the pandemic. And it went on way longer than you think. Also, a good chunk of this was during Minnesota winter, and I was one of the few in the office the entire time. Imagine leaving at 5 a.m. to make it to your 6 a.m. shift, driving in the snow, and with no sleep at all, just to make Call of Duty. Like, and he said that he was downplaying it. And then I had my own story about this at a studio that I was working on. And I said, you know, we crunched all year during season 1 of the pandemic to put out the DLC stuff for Watch Dogs Legion. So I got 1 day off a week, and I worked 60 hours a week, only to get a bonus of $300 in May once the final DLC shipped. I remember just being on Twitter complaining every single day. And then after taxes, that $300 was actually $180. And then I posted my timesheets, and there was a week that was 80 hours. So it was 40 hours of overtime. Another week was 36 hours of overtime. Another week was 29, and another week was 31. So one time we had a massive snowstorm, and this resulted us in losing power. And guess what happened? Instead of letting us go home, they told us to wait around until the power came on. So people slept in their cars, and we played in the snow. And I actually ended up walking down to 7-Eleven on the clock.
Wow.
So yeah, I've been victim of this myself too, and it's crazy because game developers will want to ship a game because that's something that is a metric of experience in the game developer industry. So when somebody says like, hey Persona, how many games have you worked on? And you say 10 games. And then how many games have you shipped? And you say, well, 8 of those games got canceled. So technically I only shipped 2 games. So guess what? You only have 2 games worth of experience. So if somebody like, I applied to be the creative director at Bungie for their new IP, and they asked me for 3 shipped games. Well, dang, I don't have 3 shipped games in a leadership position. I only have 1.
Well, let me ask this question, and then I want to. I know everyone wants to speak. I know they do. I just want to ask this one last question, then I'm gonna get to the panel. So, in terms of, because I know we're talking about like Game Pass and like subscription services and kind of how that business works, but in terms of like games actually selling, so like, you know, you release, you know, Watch Dogs Legion, and I buy it for $60 or $70, right?
Yes.
If there's a financial threshold that's met in that regard, to where, so say, hey, if we get 5 million sold within the first 3 months, or reach, you know, just hypothetically $50 million, you know, dollars profit off of this, does everyone get like some type of, are there incentives on that as well?
Most of the incentives are actually Metacritic scores.
Jesus Christ.
So they're tied to our Metacritic score. So something along the lines, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine.
So something along the lines of like, hey guys, if this game scores over an 89 Metacritic, you guys get a $10,000 bonus. Cool. Ayo, it scores an 88.
And this is why it's even more important for review. Yo, that's
that's what I was afraid of.
That is crazy, bro.
Yeah, it's generally crazy. And I just want to ask one question to you, Derry. Why is no one talking about this? Why is so? Here's the thing: we, the genuine gamers, are the ones that are combating the Game Pass narrative and how it's literally killing the industry. So where are the developers that's actually doing the crunch?
They're on Twitter. They're on Twitter. A lot of them are on Twitter like me. A lot of them I interact with actually. If you follow my Twitter account, and Persona does, and he sees a lot of time I'll quote retweet stuff. Like this week we've had issues where people aren't getting credited for their work in video games. If you leave the studio, sorry, go ahead.
What I mean by that is, why is no one interviewing them? Why do we see 10 trillion articles about how Game Pass is great and PlayStation Plus doesn't hold a candle to Game Pass? And one is actually,
a lot of this stuff is specifically tailored for NDAs. So the only reason I'm speaking so much about my crunch experience and stuff, because I don't work at Ubisoft anymore. So if you, like, let's say, okay, so I actually had a friend who works at Blizzard, a peer that works at Blizzard, and somebody asked him to write a positive thing about a video game that he loves. Well, per Blizzard's work and social media policy, because he's speaking about it as a like, hey, I'm a developer from Blizzard, he then becomes a spokesperson for Blizzard. So that means he cannot say anything for the duration of the time that he works there. So a lot of these guys have livelihoods. I have a kid. I got to feed. You know, I got a 3-year-old kid.
I get that.
And,
I get that. I think, and because I know Link is here and Jamil, I want to get them in you know, Ghost and everybody else.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. But all I wanted to say is to wrap this thread up real quick is that typically 70 to 80% of standard AA and AAA games lifetime sales happen within the first few months. So we call that a launch window, right? So like 3 to 4 months. So if 50% of gamers have a subscription service and the other 50% buy your game physically or digitally, essentially on a subscription service, your customer base is actually only about 50%. There's no guarantee that you'll make $40 a game on the subscription service, but on sales, you will. So if, much like how Sean Layden was saying, if musicians don't make enough money from Spotify, do you think games would be any different? And then I continue to say, you know, a lot of this stuff is case by case. So what the developer from Tunic gets is not the same as the developer like from I don't know, Hyperlight Drifter would get. So it's all case by case, but it's all under NDAs, so we don't actually know. I applied at ID at Xbox, and I got a deal. That's all I will say. I got a deal, and I was unsatisfied with that deal. And then I spoke to about 6 or 7 more publishers, and I was unsatisfied with those deals. So I actually ended up not taking anything. Specifically with those publishers, there's a lot of NDAs out that I can't speak of, which is crazy because it's been like 4 or 5 years. But all I have to say to end this little rant off is, if you see no negative, there's a reason why there is 0 negative press about gaming subscription services. That's all.
Hold on. I don't want to. I know you got a lot to ask, and I'm probably going to get you on Deli for like a Win Persona interviews, because I would love to like really sit down and have a really deep conversation with you.
It's genuinely interesting.
I just want to get everybody else's thoughts, because it's a lot of people here. Link, and then Jamil, and then Ghost. I think it was Upper or Ghost. But Link, go ahead, man. Give me your thoughts on this stuff, man. The whole conversation.
It's interesting to hear all this insight from somebody who actually works, you know, firsthand with this type of stuff. I wasn't aware of these, you know, type of deals. You know, they make it seem, I don't know, I guess when you hear certain people in the industry talk about Game Pass and different subscription services, it's all good, you know, but it's interesting to see there is a darker side to these services. So, but I don't really have a question. It was just interesting to hear everything he had to say.
No, you don't have to just, you know, it doesn't have to just be a question for Deli. You know, just give me your thoughts on this whole Spartacus, all of it.
I mean,
the whole conversation.
As far as the Spartacus thing, I never thought it was going to be some kind of Game Pass type thing. They've said countless times in the past that day and date on services for their games just doesn't make financial sense. So I figured it was going to be a rebrand of PS Now and combining it. So I'm not really surprised with what they announced. You know, there are lots of people that are disappointed with Sony not doing day and date, but those are people who don't want to buy video games anymore. So I really can't take their opinions too seriously. But you know, I'm going to stay on just the standard base subscription. I'm not interested in streaming or playing any of those old games. I still own my PS3, so if I want to go back and play PS2, PS1, PS3 games, I still have my full catalog of games. So for me, nothing will change. And I'm glad Sony's not doing day and date, because I really feel like that's going to hurt their first party in a way. So I'm cool what they're doing.
Yeah. Yo, shout out to Jamil, man. I ain't talked to Jamil in a minute, man. What's good, Jamil?
How you doing?
I'm good, brother. Appreciate you coming through, man. Chicago in the building.
Lord.
Talk to us though, man. Drop your insight, man. How you feel? Because you know, Jamil, you're Xbox guy, so like, you know, you're definitely about to get a real unique perspective here. So I definitely want to hear what you got to say.
Well, I can only speak for me personally. You know, I try my best to not be a spokesperson for none of these idiots, but I'm not pressed by day and date. Never have been, never will be. I can only speak just to me as a consumer. You know, I know what does and doesn't hurt these industries. I do benefit from the day and date stuff with Game Pass. I like it because I don't have to buy the game, but then at the same time, I use the money I would use to buy the game to, maybe I'll dabble in some microtransactions I typically wouldn't. Maybe not. It just depends. Also, before anybody in the chat has something stupid to say, I own over 1,000 games, so kiss my ass. But anyway,
flex on them, Jamil. Flex on them.
I just gotta say that because people like
probably got
paint
a higher gamer score than most of these Xbox dudes too. By the way,
people paint with broad strokes. I just don't want to deal with nobody saying nothing stupid.
Yeah.
I own my games. I own games I want to play, and if I intend to own a game and then it's offered in a service, I'll just play it in the service. And that's fine. And I'll use that 60 towards something else in my gaming. I have a gaming budget. So I just use that 60 somewhere. I'm paying for something. But anyway, with Sony choosing not to do it, that's fine by me. I can see the benefits in not doing it and keeping your first parties strengthened. That's cool. I just feel like no matter if these decisions are good or bad, excuse me, if these decisions are good or bad, the industry will find some kind of way to adapt, whether for better or worse. That's the reason why the music industry went the direction it went in with the streaming. That was because of the rampant bootlegging. It's all these things are going to adapt. And I feel like if first party studios suffer because of subscription services, we'll see something else that'll come into play that might be more devious, or it might be something that'll help benefit. We might see ads in games. I remember when that was a big thing like 15 years ago, everybody was worried about ads all over your games. I see them in there very subtly now. Like you'll see something and don't even realize, but like we were afraid that it was just going to be commercials in the middle of games. That was like a big fear 10, 15 years ago. But we might see that if first parties start to suffer because of subscription services. Maybe we'll see something where they'll say, okay, well, we'll start putting some exclusivity to owning it, and after 3 months they'll be in the service, or whatever. There'll be some kind of adaptation. So none of this stuff is going to be concrete. It's all going to be fluid. So I don't really stress it too much. I just try to stay in my gamer lane and not try to be a armchair financial analyst or businessman or nothing like that. I am invested in the good interest of gaming. I want gaming to succeed. I don't think any of this is going to kill the industry like people say. People that talk a little radical about it all, they always seem to focus on one side of the argument. These streaming services are coming from everybody everywhere. It's not just Game Pass. It's not, Ubisoft has theirs. PlayStation has theirs. EA has theirs. It's all over the place. So
we won't see a major impact on the industry for like another 3 or 4 years. But for now, it's like we can't see that far. So for now, it's going well.
Yeah. And it might keep going well, or it might take a turn for the worse. So, you have your perspective, which is great to hear because we don't normally hear that. And all I can do, because I'm not educated on yours. I'm not a developer. I don't work for a publisher. All I am is a gamer. All I can speak on is, hey, I have a plethora of games. I subscribe to multiple services and I buy games too. And I just have games I don't even have time to play anymore. And that's, beneficial to me now, but I don't know where it's going to turn later. I'm not interested in the stuff people argue about that's not really contributing to the discussion like what you've contributed, because now my eyes are open to a lot of things that wasn't open to before. I'm not getting that information from people saying, oh, this service is killing the business, so this is happening, or this they're offering day and date and you're not, and all this other stuff is stupid to me. But I'm done.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, man. I really appreciate Deli coming through as well and giving his perspective. Like I said, Deli, when Persona interviews, you definitely gonna be my next guest.
Yeah, just let me know anytime.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if nobody else has any more questions for me, or you don't have any more questions for me, I'm gonna go back to viewing.
Yeah. We'll definitely set something up real soon. Appreciate you, Deli.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, real quick, my fault.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. But you got the floor. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, Deli, I wanted to ask you a quick question because you're breaking it down, with your experience and everything. Now, because I don't understand how these video game deals and payments work to actual developers and everything like that.
Yeah.
Are there any but what I do know of deals in entertainment, you know what I'm saying? I just apply this shit randomly, the same thought process. You know what I'm saying? I know that probably doesn't work, but are there any residuals in gaming?
No.
If your game continues to sell over time, do you ever get no, so it'll be is there ever a sales mark, or is it just
nope,
this and then Metacritic and then have a good day?
It's literally okay. So it's a job like any other job. So if you're a cop, right, you make $40,000 a year, or let's say 50, right? You make $50,000 a year. If you need gas in your car, it may come out of your own pocket, or it may not. Who knows? But what you do in your house is your own deal. And when you drive your personal car to work, and then you get into your police vehicle, you still have to fill up your personal car, right? The government's not going to do that for you, or the state's not going to do that for you. So there's no reason that you need any extra money because you are reporting to work. So for me, I was paid just under 6 figures at Ubisoft as a lead level designer, and I don't know. Watch Dogs Legion probably has 3 million sales or something like that, or 3 or 4 million sales above the last one, and I haven't received a dime. I have no residual check. Once the game ships and is completed, one of two things happens. You either get moved to a different department, studio, or a different project. I actually asked them several times to move me to the Splinter Cell project, but they kept rebooting that and canning that. So I ended up not going there. And then in the beginning of right after the launch in about May, I actually got headhunted by Microsoft. So I actually work for Microsoft now, but I work on the government contract side. But for Ubisoft, I have received 0 residuals. As far as I know, the bonus that I got was $300 was for working during the pandemic. So
you were you're a lead level designer, right?
Yeah. So there was no nothing. So I got paid, like I said, I got paid my $90,000, and then I got fired. I got laid off.
That's crazy.
At the end of that, and that was it.
That's crazy.
Does review matter for you guys, people, in the sense of, do you guys get bonuses based on review? I know you guys get bonuses based on Metacritic score, but reviews in general, do they matter?
It depends on the studio. I know the guys at Obsidian, originally the reason why they branched off from I think it was Bethesda or whatever it may be, was that they were promised bonuses, hefty bonuses, like $10,000, $20,000 bonuses if New Vegas scored over a 91, and I think it ended up scoring 89 or something like that. They did not get their bonus. They got screwed over on their bonus, so all the developers left.
That's crazy.
So it was the all or nothing type of situation, and then they just got nothing.
Not even partial. That's they need to look at that policy, bro. That's really fucked up. To even if you a point off, you telling me I can't even get half the bonus? That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, again, certain studios do different things, so it could be something along again at Ubisoft, there was no Metacritic bonus. There was just the work from home pandemic bonus, or the switching to remote bonus, which was my $300. Again, that I ended up getting laid off right afterwards, so it's not that $300 actually ended up being $180 after taxes. Which wasn't worth anything at all to me, anyways. It wasn't worth anything, but again, there's no. It's case by case. So sometimes you'll hear a studio say yeah, we got our bonuses and it was great, and then sometimes you'll hear studios say oh man, we're off of our bonuses, and then sometimes you'll hear studios say oh, I just got laid off.
Jeez, let me get this question from Andrew Wilkins. He got a question for you too, Deli. He says, question: which do you think devs and publishers can be offered more money between PlayStation Premium and Game Pass to put their games on there, and which service do you think can make them the most money overall?
If you're looking specifically for developers, it's kind of hard to say, because it again depends on the company, depends on the studio. So if we were a smaller studio, let's say Deviation Games is let's say 40 people, right? Management could be generous and say hey, we're all sharing the slice of the pie. But for a large company like Activision Blizzard, chances are you won't see a dime of that. Again, the counter argument is you're on salary. Why does it matter to you? You're paid to do a job, so do the job.
Yeah. Jesus Christ, man. That's whew. That's even worse.
That we don't know about the industry. This
yeah,
is why
but that's why.
So thankful for people like them.
Yeah, shout out
that
to
open
shout out
up.
To, and Mr. Flash said Metacritic really got devs by the nuts, huh? But they got Survivor as a credible Metacritic score. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, man. Like that goes back to my whole thing with Metacritic. Like not to kind of shift the subject, but with the whole thing with like reviewers not completing games but giving scores and all that shit. That like hearing what you're talking about, Deli. That first off, that sounds really fucked up, right?
That's why when you saw those devs on Twitter saying those quote unquote mean things, like just saying a few words, like that's why. Because it's like these guys they train their whole lives or they work in a studio their entire lives or their entire livelihoods, their career livelihoods, and they're ingrained to make things better, to push the industry forward. And then you have a game that basically does nothing that your game is doing, and yet it scores religiously 98%. You know, I love Elden Ring. I think it's a great game. But as a developer, it's like at Ubisoft, we were taught many things, and we were like, hey, we need to give, you know, recognizable levels so that the players being able to, let's say if they want to access this door, they could see it from where they spawn or where they enter the mission area at. So it's like being able to see that's our definition of the golden path. It's like that door that is supposed to be where they go, like they need to be able to see that so it's recognizable to them. But you know, then we put in markers and stuff like that for them to do, and a checklist to get them through, get the experience through, the playtime through, whatever it is, you know, all the knickknacks and stuff. Like there's even parts in the game where it's like we force the player to use a gadget that if you don't use this gadget, there will be a mission specifically to use that gadget so that the game reminds you, hey, you have a bunch of tools at your disposal. Elden Ring doesn't do any of that stuff. So I can understand why a developer could just be like, really?
Yo, that's why I'm like with these reviewers, man. It's disgusting. The shit's disgusting. I'm not just talking about PlayStation. It's not about just PlayStation. It's just in general. Yeah, reviewers in general. Yeah, it's just in general. It's just like, yo, when you hear stories like that, and then you see how reviewers act, and how not all reviewers, but some reviewers are and not completing games and shit like that, bro. That's terrible, bro.
That's fucked up.
And like I said before, the reviewers got too much power to where you literally are controlling someone's livelihood at their job. Someone you don't know across the world controls if you can eat at night. What kind of shit is that? It's crazy, man.
Have developers ever came together and tried to stop that
to form a union? They crushed that instantly. Activision Blizzard crushed Raven Software. They the QA team wanted to form a union, and Activision Blizzard said no. And then Microsoft said that when we acquire Activision, like fully, we will, if Raven, if Raven forms a union and Activision Blizzard recognizes it, Microsoft will not step in. So now you have a bigger entity not even endorsing a union. They're just saying we won't step in if it gets dissolved or even created at all.
That's not good.
So it's like, you know,
that's fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, it's a revolving door, and a lot of the reason why is that it's a revolving door industry. So like, for somebody said in chat, they were like, hey, I wanted to be a game developer as a kid. It's even on my resume to this day. This is disheartening to hear.
Oh yeah,
don't
shout
get me
out to
wrong,
Viper
I
for that
love
super
game
chat.
development. It's wonderful. Like it's fantastic. But the reality is, you have to crunch, and depends on what studio you're at, you're going to deal with harassment, race. I'm Asian, so you're going to deal with harassment, racism, and whatever. So you have to be prepared, right? You're gonna get a caffeine addiction. You're just gonna have to tough it out, and you might actually lose your motivation and your drive and your love for the game industry or creating games for a while. I know I was burnt out for at least a month. My first day at Ubisoft, I came in and somebody said, "Well, I knew Kim Jong Un wasn't dead."
What?
And I was like, "Really?
What the fuck?
Are you kidding me?" So, but anyways,
Yo,
I digress.
crazy.
The
Yeah.
it's wonderful.
Daly, I'm gonna be honest with you. I took some game design classes in college when it was my dream as well. But I got that same flavor in my college classes, and I was like, nope. You know what I'm saying? So I'm almost relieved to hear it was just as I expected it would be. You know, so I don't know. I'm sorry you went through that shit, but like it seems par for the course from like the
I mean, it comes
the
with a
revolving doorness of it.
Yeah.
And shit. Like my professor, he worked for Riot Games, and
Yes.
he would tell me all this shit. Like, hey man, no, it's not cool. Like,
yeah, so you hear all these stories.
Yeah. So he would tell me that like in class, like, yeah, man, like I know you don't like this shit, and you're not going to. But I think it was discouraging, but whatever. But
I mean, it is, but
I have another question for you, right? That might also be it seems discouraging.
Last question. I know Deli wants to. I know Deli wants to go back to just listening. So one more question. Then
yeah. I'm
we're
gonna
let
let
him
the
go.
question out. No, it's all good.
I'm sorry. Last one. So, do developers, because of how the payment method works, how do y'all feel about like creating the like downloadable content microtransaction part of games when like that turns out to be like so profitable, but like if you're not getting paid on the back end, then companies like make a shitload of money off of this work that you do, and it doesn't seem like that rolls back downhill to the dev that actually makes the downloadable content microtransactions if you're not getting paid residuals and shit for a game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like when focus is like aimed towards like, hey man, we need microtransactions in this shit, and you as devs know like, well, we're not going to get a single cut of this microtransaction money. You know what I'm saying? But we got to put it in our game. Like, how does that? Is there a general sentiment about that, or are people just like, hey, business as usual?
So you'll find that a lot of game developers dislike microtransactions. If you ask any developer, we would always want more time to create the content, but because content is created in parallel, so I could be working on the main game and you could be working on the microtransaction as we speak. So like a publisher, we can have a boardroom meeting. And at Ubisoft, we had an editorial team. So anything that we made, I had worked on a prototype for about 3 months. And we showed it off. We pitched it like, hey, blah blah, this is cool, blah blah, this and that. They didn't like it, so they scrapped it. So all that work that I did in 3 months, I had to go back to the drawing board. And then a couple months down the road, they announced that we're gonna have a battle pass, and that they're delaying the game a year. We were like, what? And they were like, yeah, we're gonna have a battle pass. We're gonna have 2 story DLCs, and we're gonna have a bunch of other stuff. And I'm like, so am I working on that? And they go, no, you're not working on that, but we're creating it. So we're delaying the game an extra year so that it could get created and it can launch in tandem. I said, oh, okay. And then that's usually what happens.
That's crazy.
A lot of large studios or a lot of large publishers, game developers don't make games. They're told how to make games. So a lot of these companies are in the game development business to make money. They're not here to make games.
Jesus Christ, man.
No.
Deli, I really appreciate you.
Appreciate you, Deli. Thank you so much for entertaining me and my stupid ass questions.
No, hey man, that's what I'm here for. So if you guys have any more questions, I'm sure that me and Persona will be able to roll it out in a future episode down the road. But thank you guys for letting me derail your stream. Keep it going, Persona. I'm a fan, so I'm gonna go back to listener now.
All right, man. Appreciate you, man. Round of applause for Deli, man. Round of applause for Deli, man. Such a good guy. Oh man.
Thanks, Billy. Thanks.
Yeah, man. Listen, this is important, guys, and I'm gonna tell you why it's important. Is because it's like I said before, and I'm glad that Deli came through, right? Because what I was talking about yesterday in the space about context, right? Oftentimes, we tend to take things for face value. And what I always tell you guys, always fact check and always do your own research, right? But also context. Context is very important when it comes to making educated decisions, but also truly being able to understand a situation. And I really appreciate Deli coming through, and I'm definitely gonna reach out to him to do an episode of One Persona interviews, and we're really gonna sit down and really talk, right? Because that's context, man. You know, like that wealth of information there, someone that's in the trenches, someone that really, and it's not just backing up the arguments that I make, right? Which, you know, a lot of what he said backs up the shit that I said. I'm a gloat. But also being able to hear from actual developers, right? Not the mouthpieces that we fucking see on Twitter and YouTube all the time that, you know, kind of can only ask specific questions and all that. Actually hear from the developer, right? Like one thing, like me and how I am as a person, I respect the CEO all the way down to the janitor. You know, I'll chop it up and have a good conversation with the janitor at work and, you know, talk about how it's his day and how it's this and that and the third, because that respect it goes from the CEO down to the janitor. You get what I'm saying? And when it comes to the developers are the ones that are making these games and putting their all into this shit, man. And listen, gaming is my hobby. Gaming is my passion. Gaming is, you know, I've been gaming since I was 4 years old, man. I'm 30. I'm old as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, Jamil. I'm old as fuck, right? And when it comes to my hobby, I want my hobby to continue to flourish, but I also want the people who make my hobby so great to flourish as well. So when I say what I say, it ain't no corporate slave bullshit. It ain't no fanboy stuff. It's the truth. And the truth is always backed by facts, data, and statistics.
It broke my heart when he said that the union got crushed.
It's fucked up, man.
Because that's what I've always wanted. A change. Like, this validate everything that happened with Forbidden West. And it's not just Forbidden West. You name any game that is not reviewed properly because people didn't finish the game or had some type of view about it and not use factual information. They're literally playing with people's livelihood, dude.
Yeah.
This is fucked up in so many ways.
Let me get Ghost in the Shell, Meat Gamer. I know they're here. Ghost in the Shell, give me your thoughts on, you know, this whole situation with Spartacus reveal and everything. What's your thoughts?
Man, first of all, man, what up, man? First of all, kudos for having Deli. He was, you know, his insight was, you know, gave you open a window into just kind of the trials and tribulations of the gaming industry, man, and that was awesome having him on.
Yeah.
The one thing that I wanted to say was, you know, a couple of days ago, it was reported that, you know, Microsoft or Xbox paid, you know, $5 to $10 million to put Guardians of the Galaxy onto Game Pass. And so they used a certain math on there, and I'm using that same math to kind of allude to Sean Layden and Jim Ryan's point on why day and date games are not viable or just not cost effective.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been reported that like Horizon Forbidden West costs $122 million to produce. That was the budget, and it's the highest, you know, budget video game out there, right? And so we're going to use the number 50 million just of PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus subscribers, the total amount. We'll just use even numbers. And so if you break that 122 million budget down, that's $2.45 per game if they were to put that in day and date. That's what the game would cost to us, the consumer. Okay, and so now you correlate that to let's just say I might be shooting a little high, but let's just say 5 million total sales as of today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could be lower, could be, but let's just 5 million at $70 a pop. That's 350 million in profit, or actually it's 350 million in revenue. And so if they were to do that, that's $227 million profit. In order for Sony, if you were to put a game like Horizon Forbidden West in a service, you'd have to have 150 million subs to equate what they made in profit. And that's what Jim Ryan was saying, like the quality of our game, because not every game is going to sell 5 million. Not every game is going to sell, you know, the astronomical amounts. And the type of quality that Horizon Forbidden West, a Gran Turismo costs 60 million to create. Okay. And so it's projected that they've sold about $1 million or 1 million copies in the first opening weekend of the game. Okay. And so that's 70 million right there just in revenue. 60 million to create. You put it in a service, you break it down, it's $1.20 per game. And so they would need roughly about 95 million subs to make $70 million off 1 million copies sold. And so that's what, Jim Ryan's alluding to. If you do the math, and I'm a numbers guy, I'm the CFO of my company. You know what I'm saying? When you start breaking it down,
you big dollars out here, yeah.
Numbers,
you big dollars out. That's you big dollars out here, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a number dude.
Yeah.
When you break it down in the numbers, that's why they're saying they didn't break it down. That they're not going to put their games in day, especially when you have these high quality games that cost several hundreds of millions, or tens and tens of millions. The amount of subs, and granted, PlayStation now they're hoping to grow, right? That's the true goal. But I think Jim Ryan, Herman Holst, and the Sony SIE, they're more of a realistic approach as opposed to Microsoft's, we're going to reach 2 billion gamers, not knowing how the hell they're going to get there, right? They want to do cell phones, they want to do, tablets and everything else. But that's just not realistic. So what Sony is focusing on is the realistic aspect, is that we have 50 million people now, and we want to grow, but we can't put $100 million games in service. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier, where I was like, if something like this happens, something's going to give, where there's either going to be less games releasing every year, or games will get smaller, or the budgets will get small. Something's going to give to make that work. And a lot of people think it's just going to this would just happen, and then it's just business as usual. No, there's a give and take situation here, right? That needs to happen, and a lot of people aren't understanding that because they're looking at Microsoft and that $2.3 trillion market cap valuation and saying, oh yeah, if Microsoft can do it, anyone can. No,
right. I want to ask a question though. Do you think since they switched to this day and date Game Pass situation, it seems like their output has been less than what it was when they were selling games? So,
and they got more studios.
Am I wrong?
No, you're right. I mean, we're going into April with no news from Microsoft.
Nothing.
If we go through April with no type of update from Microsoft on anything, I mean, damn, we're gonna go 6 months with nothing.
But that subscription, they still gonna see you. They're gonna bill you every month for that subscription, whether they put out any new games or not.
Absolutely.
They get away with it. Their fan base are not complaining. They're actually defending it.
Let me get these super chats real quick. Yo, just the guy. I appreciate you. Just the guy always put the super fanboy shit in the super chats. He says, "Bless the devs. Rip Trashbox Series L. No exclusive irrelevant console confirmed." And then just the guy again with another super chat. He says, "Horizon Forbidden West is a masterpiece." Shout out to you, just the guy. And then Viper, man, I appreciate you for the super chat. He says, "I actually wanted to be a game developer when I was a kid. It's even on my resume till this day. This is disheartening to hear." Yeah, man, it really sounded really messed up, honestly. And then Viper again with the big boy super chat. He says, "I appreciate this wealth of information. Thanks, Deli, for providing quality information or info."
Yeah, shout out.
Yeah, appreciate it. Appreciate the super chats. All right, man, let's get some closing thoughts, because your boy want to chill.
Hey, Persona, real quick before you close this out, because I got something that's been tickling the back of my brain, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
And I play a financial analyst on Twitter, but I'm really not one, right? And we got this man, Ghost, in here in the room, and he's a CFO, so he knows money and dollars and how that stuff works on the major level, right? And something that just rubs me the wrong way, right? Because I used to work at a bank. I used to sell credit cards and everything like that, right? And these statistics that Microsoft is dropping about Game Pass, right? About, well, now, it's billed as the best value in gaming, right? Game Pass. Arguable, but whatever, right? But then they drop slides that say, if you do subscribe to Game Pass, you end up actually spending 50% more, right? And we just stated, since Game Pass in this day and date started, their output of actual good games and stuff hasn't increased, right? So there's the same trash out there, but the people that subscribe to this service end up spending 50% more. How does that equate to a value if anybody that subscribes to this service actually spends more money because their spending habits change?
You get what I'm saying? Like, isn't that like a financial mind game that people play with people like, yeah, this credit card sounds good if you use it exactly the right way, but knowing like they can show you like every subscriber on average spends 50% more, that it doesn't turn out to be a value, it turns out to be a money sink. And the amount of content hasn't really increased. You know what I'm saying? The same trash ass games that have been on consoles since the beginning of time, but you spend more money. So like how does that play out in your mind, Ghost? Is that not like kind of weird, or is that just me from a financial background that seems a lot like a credit card?
Ghost in the Shell, I think he's asking you that question directly.
Oh, I'm sorry. Repeat the question. I'm sorry. I was dealing with one of the kids.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. Sum it up. Basically,
Summarize it.
Summarize. Game Pass users end up spending 50% more than a non-Game Pass subscriber, while it's marketed as a value. So if that's actually the case, and they're not, you don't really have more content because this content's always been there. You know what I'm saying? So is it a value since every user spends more money? You know what I'm saying? Or is it like a mind game that they play to get more money from people?
So it's see, value is objective, right? Okay. So what you find what one person finds a value is completely different, okay, than the next. But what Microsoft has really mastered these people to do, because apparently their statistics say that they are spending more money, but what are they spending more money on? Did they show any charts about their peripherals? Did they show any charts about all the other miscellaneous stuff there, nail polish, controllers, fridges, microtransactions within their games? Because that's one of the things that Microsoft has really, I guess, did a good job with. If you look at like Gears 5, Gears 4, if you look at Halo Infinite, if you look at Forza, if you look at Flight Sim, if you look at all the games that they have released, there are some aspect that you have to in their in-game purchases. And so they're counting that number as the spending, as the more increase in spending. And there's going to be more increase in spending, especially with the games that you have. They haven't released a whole lot of content, but the content they have released has all been games as a service games, or games that have some type of transactional interaction within that. So of course their spending is going to go up. Now also you got to realize, and this is the fanboy in me, right? When you starve these guys that you have, and then you drop a game like Halo and you drop a game like Forza, and you have 20 million supposed players, then you also have this huge influx of 20 million people supposedly buying stuff. And so what I'd be interested in, and what I'd be interested in is, what are those projection numbers, what do those numbers look like come September, October, before they release their next, Starfield or whatever, because there is nothing out there. I mean, unless, there's microtransactions in Tunic or Crossfire X or Shredders. So those are the 3 games that have been released. And when there are no games that have no microtransactions or storefronts to purchase from, what do those numbers look like then? You won't hear anything then. You just won't. It'll be radio silent. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just like backwards marketing. Like, you tell me.
No, it's not backwards marketing. I mean, it's backwards marketing, but it's very, it's like the Shell and P game. Right? You look over here, look over here, look over here. Where's the P, right? And Microsoft can do that just because, and just like Persona and Jay Barry and everyone has said, Microsoft has the deep enough pockets to make Game Pass and make Xbox sustainable, and that's why Phil Spencer, he kind of changed his whole tune-up from being profitable to sustainable, right? That verbiage. Because they're not very transparent with how where the money's going, what the money's bringing in. I mean, a lot of this is speculation, a lot of it, but you can see just as a gamer aspect, or you can see just honestly, and the way I look at it is, I own Microsoft stock. Way I look at it is their fluctuation with their stock. If Game Pass was so tremendously successful, then the Microsoft, let me check it right now. Let me check it. Give me 2 seconds. Let me check my portfolio. All right. Yeah, Microsoft. Okay, so Microsoft stock is, as of right now, about $170. When they released Halo and they released Forza, Microsoft was about 260, 270. Okay. Now there's this lull. So if Game Pass was so great and so profitable, so that you see a huge spike, just like you did when Netflix went over 200 million subscribers, you're not seeing that. So that's how I look. I'm a money man. That's how I look at it, and so that's how I gauge success.
So you're basically saying the market doesn't believe in the impending success of Game Pass the way that it's being sold.
It's too far out. It's not that they don't believe in it. It's too far out, right? This is Halo's a 10-year plan, right? And Game Pass, it's already been around for 5 years, okay? None of these subscription services, Spotify, Netflix, except for maybe the exception of Disney Plus, but you have to realize, what did Disney Plus have that Microsoft doesn't? Disney Plus had a huge influx of movies and videos and established I guess we'll say IPs, established movies, Cinderella's, the Snow Whites, there are a whole plethora of movies and TV shows. So with Microsoft trying to acquire all these studios and acquire all these publishers, what they're trying to do is establish that foothold. And I just think that when you spend that kind of money, I would want a return on my investment relatively soon, but I guess Microsoft's pockets are deep enough that they can hold off. But it's just a matter of time, and I would, if you don't see stocks jumping up to 300, 320 share in the next 2-3 years, I don't know. I don't know the sustainability of Game Pass. Thunderstorming here where I'm at.
Yeah. Nah, that's a really in-depth explanation, actually. But yo, let's get into these outros, man. Starting with you, Jamil. Shout out to you, bro.
Yeah, thank you. Excuse me, sorry. I did want to address that question about value just for a split second. I don't want to get too deep into it. I know we want to do our outros and get to our gaming. I think we kind of lose sight, since we are gamers and this is our passion and our hobby, and we, own a plethora of games, that we don't look at the general, I don't know the word, just that general outlook in the community, period. Most people don't own as many games as we own. They don't play as much as we play. So to say that the average gamer is spending 50% more, for example, the average gamer that I know might own a total of maybe 10 games throughout a generation. So if half those games end up on the service, they're spending half the amount that they would typically spend, but then they have all this money. They feel like they have disposable income. So that's usually where that comes from, because we are not the majority. We are the minority. The majority of gamers got about 10 games. That's just what it is. But anyway, yeah, my voice has been kind of going in and out, so I apologize for that. This was a great discussion. I just wanted to sit back and listen to it. I got a lot of information. I appreciate everybody's outlook and opinions. Man, Persona, dude, who would have thought 10 years ago, 8 years ago, when you was talking crazy to me that this is where we would be, man. But I definitely, I'm a big supporter, big fan of what you're doing, and I excuse me, and I appreciate that. You house these discussions, because I learn a lot. So I just want to say that and give you some flowers, man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you. Yelling at them damn kids got your voice fucked up.
Shut up.
Yo, real talk though, me and Jamil, we go way back to like 2013, 2014, man. It's been 10 years just about. So yeah, man, Jamil's a good guy, man. Really good dude. Met him too, man. He's tall as shit. And he's a really good guy. So Upper Room, man, give us your outro, bro.
Hey man, my outro is Persona, appreciate you all the time for holding these common sense ass conversations, man. It's hard to find in these gaming streets these days, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot of, yelling back and forth, hard to get like make sense out of all this nonsense. But I just appreciate you for doing this, and appreciate you for having me and putting up with my bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm always on some bullshit. But
yeah.
You know,
Nah, I appreciate you, man. Shout out to you. You feel me? You always welcome back.
Nah, man, I'm not the one out here doing this shit. It's you, man. I'm just, here for the ride, and I appreciate the ride because it's informative, and quality all the time, and I love this shit, man. So, keep it up, man. I love it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And like I said, man, for people here, man, everyone is welcome to the show. Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, whoever. If you're down to have a conversation, I'm always down to have the conversation. You feel me? That's what it's all about. At the end of the day, I may make fun of Xbox, and I'm gonna continue to do that. But at the end of the day, I love gaming. I'm a gamer first, PlayStation fan second. I say that all the time. Muck, man. Shout out to you too, man. I think it's your first time on the show, man. Shout out to you, man. I appreciate you. Give us your outro.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for this conversation. This is what we need in the gaming industry. A lot more conversation. I also want to say thanks to Delhi, man. That was a lot of deep information that we would have never known. It's always good to hear the both sides of the fence. And shout out to everybody in here, man.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you too, man, for coming through and rocking out. Yo, Link, man. I know you had the baby over there. I heard the baby crying.
Oh, yeah.
I know you holding the baby. Nah, shout out to you, though, man. Give me people your outro.
I just want to say I wish I could get my 99 cents back from Microsoft for that 2 years of fucking Game Pass Ultimate. It was absolute garbage. I just don't feel like Game Pass it doesn't seem to be adding anything or moving the industry forward. And I'm never going to support it again. But this was a great show, informative. Delhi, the dev that came on here, gave some great insight into the gaming industry, and to people who think to these so-called experts that don't actually work in this industry, to hear somebody who deals with it and see the kind of stuff he went through. It was just very interesting and eye-opening.
Yeah, I agree. Appreciate you always, Link. You already know. Karaba, the Game Slayer host. Shout out to Omar, man. Let the people know where they can find you, man. Give us your outro, Omar.
Thank you for having me. Great show. The amount of information we got from Delhi. Shout out to him. Shout out to the great. People can find my caravan. It's called Sub on Twitter. Gameplay on YouTube. 5 or 6 p.m.
You kind of cutting out like really bad. You got like a lot of like reverb and whatnot. Yeah. Yeah. So say it again. Nah, it's bad, but I got you on the outro. So check out Omar on his YouTube channel. It's Omar Shihab, and he do Game Slayer podcast every Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern. With him and Innate and Morgan and Kay and all of them over there. It's a good panel of people. So definitely check that out. Shout out to Omar. And then Ghost in the Shell, man. Give us a outro, bro.
Yo, appreciate you having me on. It's really nice being on here with a group of guys and listening to Delhi, and of course listening to you, man. I'm Ghost in the Shell 55. You can find me on PSN or on Sundays at 11:30 at Ghost in the Garage Gaming. We call it Sunday morning conversation, just common sense gaming, man. But appreciate you guys having me on.
No doubt, man. And again, Delhi. Shout out to Delhi, man. He really good dude. It's funny, I met him through Luca, because Luca knew him and had him on her show and whatnot. Shout out to Luca. He's a really good guy though, man. Really good dude. Definitely follow him. I'll put the link to his stuff in the description after the fact. So definitely check him out. And shout out to him. I'm definitely gonna have him back for Win Persona interviews in the next couple of weeks. Trust and believe, guys, because that's gonna be a good episode. So look out for that. And then I think another ladies' night is in order as well. Probably not this week. I want to be able to get all the ladies too, because last episode was great. I love that episode, but we couldn't have Morgan and Red, and there was a couple of new ladies I wanted to have on as well who their schedules conflicted. So I'm gonna reach out to everybody and see what's a good day that everyone can come through. we're gonna have like 5-6 ladies, real talk. And when I plan that out, I'll let you guys know when that happens, and we're gonna talk about a whole bunch of stuff in the industry. And then,
Is Tiffany gonna make it to the ladies' night?
Who?
Persephone.
Oh, Persephone. I mean, she might make it. I gotta check in and see if she'll be able to make her schedule. It'd be funny if I did the podcast with that voice on too. That'd be crazy. So, Ladies' Night episode 3. Be on the lookout for that in the next couple weeks as well. And then obviously, What's Up PlayStation podcast this Saturday morning, 11 a.m. With me and Bari. Tune into that. That's gonna be an exclusive because Bari, the only place you can hear Bari's thoughts right now is on WUPS. So you guys don't want to miss that, man. My boy Bari, my bro Bari, he about to go in on Saturday. So do not miss What's Up PlayStation podcast. And with that being said, guys, I appreciate you all. Shout out to everybody in the chat. You know what? Round of applause for the folks in the chat, man. Round of applause for y'all, man. I appreciate you. Deli said I have a huge internet crush on Red. Yeah, Red is Deli. Red is a cool woman, man. I've known Red for a very long time. She's really cool, man. Really, she solidified out here in these gaming streets. So shout out to Red, man. She's real cool. So yeah, I appreciate y'all. Have a great night. Please be safe, and I'll see y'all on Saturday on WUPS.